here today, Jesse.
You were what?
I'm just excited.
Oh, yeah, me
I'm
too.
excited.
I feel so tired, you guys.
Oh, you need a good cup of coffee.
I probably do. I was talking to someone a few days ago about coffee and how I've never really had coffee. So.
Same. I drink tea, which I do recognize is basically pompous water, but it's really good.
Well, if
Tea is good.
coffee is like bean water and tea is grass water.
Or leaf water.
Yeah, leaf water.
It's a leaf type water.
I was gonna say it's a leaf type.
It reminds me of The Land Before Time, where they're drinking the water off of the giant leaves.
I never watched Land Before Time.
Well, it's a great movie if you want to cry. And
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure there's a death in there that's gonna make me cry. Because
Well,
all good
it's
children
a
movies
mom
have
death.
a heartbreaking death.
Sadly, they all eventually die anyways.
That is true. Their race goes extinct.
There was
There's no happy
someone
ending for
found
you.
a mask and caused the moon to fall on them.
Which then makes me think of the History of the World, I guess, video, and he's like, and the dinosaurs are dead.
There's a
It's
song
such a funny video.
in, I think it's the second or third movie, where they find, because the main bad guy in the movie's made out to be a T-Rex, because
Of course.
they're racist against T-Rex. And in the second or third movie,
They're T-Rexist.
there's a baby T-Rex. And it's kind of like a Disney movie where they sing every 10 minutes or so. And there's a song where the baby T-Rex is singing Friends for dinner. So, like, it's a pun on having your friends over to eat dinner with you and then eating your friends for dinner because he's a T-Rex, so...
Which makes me think of that really gross movie. I can't remember what it's called. Silence of the Lambs. At the end, where he's like, I'm having a friend for dinner.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yuck.
Well, some theorize he time traveled back in time and became a baby T-Rex. Right?
That makes sense.
That's possible? No? Okay, let's get started, guys. We got people listening to us talk about A Land
Talk
Before
about
Time.
Dinosaurs.
Great.
Alright, are you guys ready?
Mr. Mighty Shadow said it's his first time tuning in. So welcome.
Hello.
Ooh, nice. And we
Hey,
have
everybody.
Jancy and Lily and Mighty and Kyle and Samuel and another Lily. No, that's the same Lily.
It's the same,
Same.
same Lily.
Oh, we got South Park Kyle here. Oh man, now I'm nervous.
Oh, it's the real deal now.
Yeah. Alright, are you guys ready? I already asked that. I'm stupid, sorry. Okay,
No,
let's get
you're not.
started.
You're not dumb.
I can't do it.
Yes, you can.
You can do it.
Really quick, the other day I was talking to someone about how I always have to yawn right before I start. And they said that I should have someone off camera, and when I'm about to feel like I'm yawning, just like have them randomly put their finger in my mouth to stop me from yawning.
Ew.
Just this hand from off screen. Just that's gross and weird.
It made me think, like, is that how they stop yawning? Or was
I
that
don't feel like that
sarcasm?
would stop you.
Yeah, well, like, was that just like a funny way to stop it, or were they being serious?
Or
They're
both.
being gross.
Yeah.
That's unsanitary.
Yeah, you don't want someone that stick their hand in your mouth.
Yeah.
Unless,
Alright.
yeah.
Guess we're ready.
Yes.
I don't want to do
Yeah.
Even
Alright.
Red Old Shy Guy
Good
in the chat.
podcast, guys.
It was great. All right, thanks for tuning in.
Alright. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me, here with us on the 50th episode of the Hylian Gamescast is our co-hosts Daniel
Hello, everybody.
and Ilya.
Hello.
So on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about some Nintendo accessories, GameCube and Wii games running on the NVIDIA Shield. These are, I think, the first time that Nintendo has made games for a non-Nintendo console that's not like a cell phone. And then we have a Goose game. So, interesting stuff. As always, we are going to end the podcast with our Zelda Mailbag, where we answer questions sent in from people like you. But before we do that, we are going to be discussing the best and the worst of Super Mario 64.
Yes.
So,
yes, but Jesse,
yes.
if someone sends us a question, what happens? What if we have too many questions?
Ilya, do you know what we do?
I think they have to send us $1 million. Or just $1.
Nothing in
$1.
between. Either $1 million or $1.
Depends on the day. If they become a Patreon supporter, like a bunch of people we already know, who I'm going to find right now. Where's my thing? There it is. Like, if they become a really cool Patreon person like Jacob, Michael, Elmer, Bootleg Boy, and longtime Patreon supporters like Gus, Justin, That One Pancake, Key of Time 15, Monica, Casey, Link Use the Triforce, Megan, Lunarium, Robbie, Shadow to Us, Rusty, and Lovable Christy. If you're like them and you pay on Patreon even just $1, you're guaranteed to be answered, even if it's dumb.
And trust me,
Guaranteed.
we love dumb stuff.
That's very...
Have you listened to the first 5 minutes of every live stream?
we love our dumb stuff.
Daniel, tell us about your favorite new game from the newest Nintendo Direct. Well, I guess it wasn't the newest Direct. It was the one before the newest. Because they had the mobile game Direct.
Did they?
Yeah.
When?
Oh,
Like
I didn't see
2
that.
days after the other Direct.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
but for the Nindies Direct,
See.
gosh,
There's
this game. It tugs at my heart. I feel myself pulled to it. It's not. It doesn't have a name yet. It's just Untitled. It's an Untitled
thought that
Goose
was the
game. It's. I think that is actually the name. Is Untitled Goose Game. Oh my goodness, that just looks like the most dumb fun that I have ever seen. That just.
It's like Octodad with the goose.
Yeah, you play as a cel-shaded goose, and you've got weird objectives like have a picnic, steal the gardener's hat. You know, I watched a gameplay video of it. One of the objectives was like get the gardener wet. I was like, what? And they had to like steal something of his and then bait him to an area and drop it there, and then he went to go pick it up, and then they turned on the hose, and then the sprinklers went off, and he's just like, and it's just mildly inconvenienced. You know, you're not like terrorizing anybody, just mildly inconveniencing everybody. It's the greatest game I've ever seen. It's, I'm gonna start taking all my Zelda stuff down, and you're just gonna see Goose stuff up there.
So what you're
All
saying
the geese.
is Untitled Goose for Smash Brothers.
Yes, give us the goose.
He just steals people's abilities, like Kirby, but more annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and he doesn't really like KO anybody. He just, nudges them off the stage, or just annoys them into submission. Oh goodness, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. IGN put up a great 10-minute gameplay video of it, and I was just killing myself laughing the whole time that I was watching it. Like already in the Direct, I was like, okay, this looks kind of funny. This looks interesting. It looks amusing, I would say. But then actually seeing the game played, I'm like, this is the greatest game I have ever seen. So,
And it's so accurate to real life, though.
yeah,
Geese are terror.
Geese are terrible. They are... Canadian geese are worse, by the way.
That's
I would
racist.
bet.
There's a distinction. Canadian geese they're brown and black, and they're the demons of geese. So
The demons of Canada.
yes, they're the scourge of the nation. So I'm looking forward to it. That's my bit there. You guys have anything to add?
I just want to know what that board meeting was like. Guys, we need to make a really good selling game. I have an idea. Play as a goose, and you annoy people. You're hired.
Yeah, I'm so they're like done, approved, done. Like,
He probably had to like make some animation first, he or she, and was like,
yeah.
"Do you get it?" And they're probably
you
just
see?
like, "Yeah." Why do I get it?
Yeah.
But yes.
It makes so much sense. This is what we've all been missing in our lives.
I feel like it'll be a good, fun, relaxing game when you're just like, I don't feel like racing people. I don't feel like beating a Lionel. I just want to go annoy people.
Yeah.
Cool. This game is
That's-
perfect for that.
There's like a really weird niche itch that game scratches, you know? Like
Yeah.
it just but it's hilarious. I can see myself having a lazy Sunday and just throwing on Untitled Goose Game and just, you know, like it's not something I'm gonna probably binge for hours on end like I would some other games, but I can totally in fact that's what I did all morning was I was playing Breath of the Wild again, but but I can totally see myself just throwing on that for a couple hours or an hour or so and just killing myself laughing. It's a game I think I'd like to stream that game actually. That seems like a game that would be fun to stream.
I have an idea.
Yes.
Breath of the Wild has a lot of crossover stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the same way that they had the Xenoblade crossover stuff, or like the Mario Kart crossover, what if there was... I know this will never happen, but what if there are like a crossover, or there is a crossover with the Goose Game and Breath of the Wild, so you could play as a goose. Because there
Or
are
he's your
geese
companion
in
like
Breath of the
Wolf
Wild.
Link.
Yeah, but
For some reason I just picture like a guardian fleeing, like running away, and this goose chasing it, like wah, wah, wah.
yeah.
Like an elephant-mouse relationship type thing.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is, in the same way that you have to annoy like the groundskeepers or whatever, you annoy the bokoblins. So like they're all cooking their whatever over a fire, and then the goose just goes and steals it and runs away, or like knocks the explosive barrels down the hill to like. So you're just terrorizing all of the bokoblins instead of the normal people.
Yeah, and they won't like kill you like they would with Link, you know. They won't, but they'll like try and swat you, like just get you out, unless
Yeah.
they want to try and cook you, I guess.
At worst, they would
Maybe
throw the
that's-
rocks at you.
Yeah. You're a nuisance, you know. You're not their sworn enemy, but
Can steal their weapons.
oh no. And then you go into like Hateno Village and just like eat the like vegetables they're growing and stuff. You go into Kakariko and you start eating the carrots and the pumpkins and stuff.
It's so horrible.
You know?
What would happen with the goose and the flower lady around that shrine?
Oh no.
Epic
I
battle.
don't even know.
Everyone would forget about Calamity Ganon, and it would be the one event to bring everyone together, as if the Civil War just ended for Hyrule, and Ganondorf and Zelda works together to stop this nuisance that is
This goose.
the goose.
This goosance. It's like
Goose.
with the flower lady. It's like, you know that moment in the first Avengers movie when Thor tries to hit Captain America with his hammer?
Oh
And
yeah.
Captain America blocks it with his shield, and there's just this big flash, like this big, you know, percussion, I want to say, and they're both just shot in opposite directions from the recoil of that impact. That would be what it would be like, that flower lady versus the goose. Just
All right.
that magnitude.
So, final thoughts, guys, before we move on to a topic.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
I want to be a goose.
I want to try it.
Me too.
They need to make it multiplayer.
Yes.
Oh my god. Yes.
Who can you work together to terrorize people, or?
Yes, you can come up with some complicated puzzles. Like, okay, you're in charge of starting the hose, and I'm gonna go grab the hat. And
the only thing more annoying than one goose is 2 geese.
It's so annoying they changed the spelling.
Yeah. Because they're like, ee. One goose, you're like, oh, so it's goose. And then 2 geese, you're like, ee.
We have a bunch of geese outside of our apartment, and they're constantly pooping in our walkway.
Nice.
Gross.
They're little turds, no pun intended. Sorry. I grew up with brothers.
No need to be sorry there. Wow. Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
Best conversation we've had.
If the developers of that game see this video, we should tweet this segment at them when we edit it up.
They would probably be like,
"What's up, guys? I'm so excited."
Never touch
Make different colored geese. Make different colored geese. Make it multiplayer.
Yeah, just completely change
video,
the
voice chat. No, make it for Untitled Goose Game 2.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
That's the franchise I want to get into.
So, our second piece of news after I yawn.
News.
After I don't yawn, apparently.
No?
9.
I keep feeling like I'm about to yawn. It's horrible.
No.
Like, I never yawn until I get on the podcast lately. Alright, I'm going to do a different intro thing for everyone, so really quick. All of the sections, that way when they get uploaded for themselves, they can be their own thing. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse. We're Game Over Jesse, here with Ilya and Daniel, and today we're going to be talking about a lot of GameCube and Wii games that are being emulated and released officially by Nintendo for the NVIDIA Shield, but only in China. So you cannot go out and buy a US or any other country's version of the NVIDIA Shield and buy or download the game unless you move to China, apparently, because they have very strict gaming console laws there that prohibit video games. And since this isn't classified as a video game console because it's more of a computer type thing, it's not illegal. Very weird, but it's the same reason they had the IQ player, which was just like a controller that you plugged into a TV that had the games built into the controller. Very weird. Anyways, they have
Nintendo finds a way.
Super Mario 64. No. What? I was thinking of the IQ player. Sorry. So they have Super Mario Galaxy without motion controls. So everything was, or at least the controls were redone to work with an actual controller. They have the GameCube version of Twilight Princess, but it's running in a higher resolution than the Wii U version of Twilight Princess. It's running like, instead of like 1920 by 1080p, all of the emulated games are like running at 1920 by 1400p or whatever, and then it's compressed to fit. So it technically, resolution-wise, looks better than the Wii U remake or what a Switch port would look like. So it's kind of odd, but anyways.
With the Wii U remake, they like redid all the textures and stuff too. So
it's just a resolution increase on the emulator version.
But that would still be really cool to see up-resed. We see that all the time with like Dolphin emulators and stuff, though. But I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry. Go on.
And then they had some other games, but the two biggest for probably everyone is Twilight Princess and Super Mario Galaxy, because the NVIDIA Shield is essentially the same hardware, like the same CPU and everything that's found inside the Nintendo Switch. It just runs a different OS software, like how a MacBook runs a different OS than a Windows computer. So that's basically one of the only differences between the two, and the rest are like very minor. Like the NVIDIA Shield and the Nintendo Switch, the CPU, like it's the same CPU, but one is like a teeny bit faster than the other, which really doesn't, like it wouldn't make that big of a difference between the two. So the point of this, it gives me hope that now we officially know, and we've talked about this kind of before when they released screenshots and stuff, but there was no official like tech analysis to see if it was actually running good until now from Digital Foundry. There's probably other channels that do their own as well. But it gives me hope that eventually, with Nintendo finally this month, since today is the 2nd, I almost said the 1st, they are going to be releasing their first emulated games this month for the Nintendo Online service. So with them finally giving us emulated games, we still don't know if it's only going to be like 1 or 2 games a month, or if they're going to allow us to actually purchase those games. But again, gives me hope that eventually we will get to GameCube and Wii games being ported or emulated on the Nintendo Switch, because we've seen hacked Nintendo Switches. We covered a story where someone had The Wind Waker, the original GameCube version of The Wind Waker, running almost perfectly on the Nintendo Switch. And that was from a hacker. So with Nintendo and NVIDIA, like the people, Nintendo that actually made the game, making their own emulator to work on the NVIDIA Shield, they would likely be able to do the same thing on the Switch. So now we know like 100% that there really is no excuse. Like they can't come out and say, well, we could do it, but it wouldn't run properly. So instead of giving you a bad experience, we're just not going to do it. Or them giving an excuse like Super Mario Galaxy is designed with motion controls, so it wouldn't work correctly using a controller, so we can't release that game. Now we see that it runs really well and plays really well with normal controls. So there's literally no excuse. Like they've already done the work to get everything ready. They already uploaded them for people to buy in China. We just need them here. So pull out your phone, Daniel. Call Miyamoto. Tell him to get on it. So basically, what are your guys' thoughts on this? And what is another game from the GameCube or Wii era that you would like to see brought to the Switch?
Animal Crossing.
Okay.
Granted, that one's really old and it would be weird, but...
I mean, people have been clamoring for Animal Crossing, a new Animal Crossing for Switch. If all they did was port the GameCube one over, I feel like people would just be...
Oh.
Did Jesse just vanish?
He did.
Jesse!
Don't die on us.
No,
sorry.
Jesse! Oh, he's back. He's back!
It would satiate me for a little while.
Yeah. Sure. But yeah, I feel like people would be pretty upset if all they did was just port over the old game over to Switch.
Like, if you're going to port one, it needs to be New Leaf, if any of them. But...
Ideally, just make a new one, but...
I'm sure they are. But yeah.
GameCube or Wii games, though? No. I guess Metroid Prime Trilogy would be cool to see moved over. Doesn't really require motion controls, because you could basically... Well, I mean, the first two... Like, the third game was designed with motion controls, but the first two weren't. So if you just basically moved, like, the control scheme over... Or, I guess we could do gyro with the Joy-Cons, but...
Yeah.
I'd rather with the more traditional controls. I think Metroid Prime would be really cool on Switch. The trilogy would be cool in widescreen. So, yes, that's all I have to say about that.
I would say Wind Waker, but like, well done.
But I feel like if they were gonna do Wind Waker, I'd want them to do Wind Waker HD.
Yeah. Oh, what was the other one I thought of? Oh, Double Dash. I know I keep mentioning Double Dash, but
Ooh, but Double Dash is good.
but that's. I know I've played other GameCube games. I'm just trying to remember what other games I've played.
I will say Sunshine.
Don't say it. Super Mario
Ooh,
Sunshine.
yes. Yes.
The Yoshi Bongos. Yes.
Yoshi Bongos.
I love Delfino Island.
Yeah, when you ride Yoshi, there's like an extra layer on the audio track that comes in. It's the Yoshi Bongos.
I was thinking of like the Donkey Kong bongo.
No, not the
game,
DK Bongo.
Except it's just Yoshi, so he just spits his tongue out to hit the drums. I don't know. I'll leave. I'm sorry.
Get out! No,
Oh, I've mentioned this before, but making some sort of Wii Fit for the Switch Fit. I don't know how you would do that. That'd be complicated because there's a board. But anyway.
But I mean, that's
just
what
to stand
they
on
would
your
just
Switch.
do it with
Stand
the
on your
peripheral the
Switch.
same way. Like, you know, I guess they would release a new board or make a way to sync.
It'd be
The
cool
old
if
one
there
over?
could be like a Bluetooth type mat, like if it's just a flat mat that it's advanced enough to where you can just lay it out. I just picture myself in an airport waiting to get on a flight and I'm like, all right, time to do some yoga.
Or
And everyone being
So
like,
you just want a yoga mat, like.
not a large one. I don't actually do yoga. I just do dance stretches. But anyway.
you
Ooh,
just
someone said Luigi's Mansion.
yes.
I mean, they're porting it to 3DS already, so I don't think they will.
True. True.
But that would be cool. I would like that.
Yeah, but that's almost like a downgrade.
The 3DS port.
Yeah, because it's going
Yeah.
from like 480p to 240p.
True, but yeah, I have no rebuttal. So true.
Like
Yeah.
it's portable, but it's like half the screen quality, or technically a quarter of the screen quality.
Yeah.
But good. I mean, there's probably a lot of kids who have 3DSs that never played it on the GameCube. So good in that sense. Bring it to the new gen gamers.
Did you guys like Dark Moon?
I never played Dark Moon,
I don't know what that
actually.
is.
Luigi's
It's
Mansion,
Luigi's
Dark
Mansion
Moon.
2.
Oh, no.
on
I only
3DS.
ever played the first one. And when I say played, I mean I watched my brother. And I enjoyed it.
Nice.
But the baby ghost creeped me out.
With the Wii Fit, you could just put your Switch on the floor and use it as the stepping pad that came with the Wii. So like,
No.
step on, step off, step on, step no.
I would not
Nope.
want to apply any pressure to that delicate little thing.
Okay,
It's
all
over
right,
there.
cool enough. So you mentioned Wind Waker a minute ago. I think if they did bring Wind Waker over, I think it would be the HD versions. Like if they
Mhm.
You would
did
think.
Twilight Princess and Wind
Yeah.
Waker, I would imagine it would be that.
Yes.
You would certainly
It's
hope
the gyro
so.
controls.
Oh god. Sorry, that was
They're
really
just
loud thunder and it terrified
Oh.
me.
For once, it's not storming at my house.
Someone in the chat,
Good-
a lot of numbers. J200921010 said Melee, and I went like, yeah, Melee would be cool,
But we're
but
getting,
we're getting
Ultimate.
Smash Ultimate. So, I feel like that would be redundant almost. Like Melee's a good Smash game, but
Is it?
Smash Ultimate trumps it in my opinion, just absolutely blows it out of the water. But maybe that's my overhyped brain being just like,
Bonus news. You can go
Bonus.
to Best Buy and play Smash Brothers Ultimate.
yeah.
Wait, really?
Probably not right
some
now, but
guys are gonna be doing demos.
yeah.
Okay. I'll have to keep an eye on that because I
There
live near
was-
Best Buy.
Nintendo always does partnerships with Best Buy, like around the E3 time. I don't think they did it this year, but most of the games that they are like promoting at E3 this year, the game that they promoted the most was Mario Tennis Aces, which is really weird.
Oh, I'd say they.
Well, the Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
but...
Smash Bros. Yeah, but then Mario Tennis, which was already out, wasn't it?
Yeah, like it was already out, but it was like before you play any of these other games, you have to play Mario Tennis.
Have to play Mario Tennis. Yeah, they like force you into it, and I'm like, oh, I want to go play Starlink, and they're like, you can't. You gotta go play Mario. You gotta go do your time first.
Yeah.
Go finish up your chores.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean Mario Tennis was fun. I lost to this random guy that I got paired up with, but
poor Kayla, after E3, like standing in line all day at the Nintendo booth to play Mario Tennis, and then for her work, she had to go stand all day again, and this time she was the person that had to promote Mario Tennis.
I trust her with it more though, because the people that they had at E3 were not that helpful. The Nintendo reps. Well, the one that was helping me, she had like all the notes and controls like on a cheat sheet that she kept peeking at, and yeah, she was not. She kept like stopping the game. Like she gave us the controller, and basically we're like, we can figure this out. We're good. And she was like trying to give us the rundown, and I'm like, Mario Tennis, we're good, man.
It's like I paid to be here. Don't you think I know how this probably works?
Yeah. And they were just not helpful. When I actually did have a question, she didn't know the answer. I can't remember what I asked her, but the Nintendo reps were not very well trained, I would say.
Well, if you remember Holly, when she was on, she said one of her friends were chosen from a modeling agency. So they just get like a bunch of guy and girl models to come in.
Well, the person helping me at E3 was definitely not a model.
That's rude.
So, I know, I just... Look, I mean, she was... Okay. I don't mean it to be rude,
she could
being
be
like, she ugly. I'm just saying...
Her spider senses are tingling, and is like, that guy from E3 is talking about me.
Just... Not to say that there's anything wrong with her personally, but modeling agencies are very shallow and have a very shallow way of choosing models. So
it's slim picking,
you know,
if you get into a modeling
she doesn't fit the mold, and not that there's anything wrong with her as a person, but as far as that sort of industry goes, which is already a terrible industry. No offense to any of my model friends, but it's a very
I imagine being a model in LA is one of the worst career choices you could have.
Yeah. So I just feel like, just for the fact that this Nintendo rep, she was... I'm not saying she's ugly or anything, but she was too old to be a model. That's where I'm going with this. So that's... I feel like I just like dug a trench and just like jumped in it and then like had to climb out there.
I think we all understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I knew what you were saying.
No, just pretend Daniel's wife is like outside the camera being like, you better not call anyone else pretty.
No, that's not. She's not home, but yeah, that's not how she is. So that's not how we do.
Well, cool. She's not like the people on Love then.
No, that show is messed up. Good, very good show, but not good examples of healthy relationships in that show. So
what reality show is?
No, it's not reality. It's
not a reality show. It's a.
Oh, I'm thinking something else.
The thing is, you need to have like conflict to drive the show, of course, right? So if everyone was healthy and happy and everything like that, the show would actually just be absolutely boring.
My favorite shows are reality shows, though, but not the kind that like come on MTV, like Beauty and the Geek and The Tester and King of the Nerds, some other stuff. My friend Cody was on Australia's Beauty and the Geek. He's the guy that runs Zelda Universe, for those who don't know. Your future kind of boss, Ilya.
Sort of ish.
Yeah.
I'm a part of that community now. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but
I don't know. I talked to Amanda, who was like one of the main people for like their news team, and she was like, I haven't even seen the casting list, so I know nothing about that.
It's huge.
Well, there's a lot of people in games.
I mean, you have people that are like, I'm highly in Soldier number 6. And I'm like, I feel ya. I'm something number 1. I'm not gonna say it yet.
I'm the
Yeah.
You guys know.
I just worry how much we should be talking about this.
I'm the dying
You know what I mean?
Hylian knight in Ocarina of Time in the back alley.
When there's cool stuff happening, and I'm
Gibbs!
really like part of
Gibbs
it.
donated 5 doll hairs and says, if we were to get
Yay!
Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie on Switch, on Switch, which changes would you like to see? Or would you prefer both games to be combined into one?
No
Kind of.
changes. Leave
I would
it
want
as
it
is.
as like a double pack, like 2 games in one. But I
Yes.
think keep them separate games.
Or they give us nuts and bolts.
No. But
No.
they could easily
No.
combine them because pretty much
The story
the-
just
they're-
moves right on.
the starting area is like the same area in the Spiral Mountain, and then
Yeah.
you leave that area in Banjo-Tooie, so you go to a completely new area as well. So they could theoretically, and all your moves and abilities from the first game carry into the second one as well, which is
True.
great. No other sequel does this, which is something I love about Banjo-Tooie. So they could easily combine them into one game, but I think just for the sake of the experience, I feel like if they did, that game would be way too long. So it's better to keep them as 2 separate
Yeah.
games.
So much collecting.
Yeah, it would be too much.
Not
But
as bad as
changes-
DK64.
changes to make. I would say in the first Banjo-Kazooie that you shouldn't have to collect all 100 notes in a level in one go. Like it should remember.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah, like,
it's
I
this
found
weird
those 4
quirk in
notes
that
I never
game.
found before.
Yeah, but if you leave the level and go back
I
in,
feel that.
you have 0 notes. You have to collect all 100 again. And if you're a completionist like me and you want to go for 100%, and God help you, and they fixed that in Banjo-Tooie
Yes.
and DK64, which is basically like almost a third Banjo-Kazooie game, but with different characters. But in Banjo-Kazooie, it's just this weird quirk that really bugs me. So that's the only change I would like to see. Otherwise, they're maybe just up-res it a bit, or yeah. But I would
Yeah.
be so psyched to have those.
Oh,
games
I
on
would
Switch.
cry. I would cry if that came to the Switch. I would be so freaking happy.
So there's a funny comment. Rexton says, everyone hates these videos. Please make your old type of videos. And then right above him, someone literally gave us $5 because he loves these videos so much.
Yeah, I mean, Rexton, if it's not your cup of tea, man, you don't have to watch. But
Just leave.
that's okay. That's okay. We do make the other videos too. Jesse puts one out like every week. He works very hard to do both. And there's an audience for both. So it's not your cup of tea, sure. No problem. But even Michael Phillips in the chat says, not true.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, tell this to the 34 other people watching.
Jesse does not need to go back to making his old type of videos. I dropped my phone. Jesse doesn't need to go back to making his old type of videos because he didn't stop making those videos. He just does these ones as well. So
Yeah.
that's
and
all I gotta say.
all of the Patreons we have are Patreons because they like these videos so much.
True. And I feel like the channel has, like, obviously it's always been growing, but there's been, since we started the podcast, there's definitely been growth in the channel too, right?
It's all because
People
of you, Daniel.
Subscribe. No, but
We
Yeah.
Gibbs
actually
deleted the comment.
something
Yes.
interesting in the next day, maybe before tonight, we will have passed McIntyre Productions in terms
Whoa.
of subscribers.
Whoa.
Yeah,
So-
That's exciting.
we're like less
That
than
is a lot.
100, which is weird because like he only had like 30 or 40 whenever maybe it was lower than that when I became friends with him at first, or the old McIntyre. Now there's like 3 McIntyres, New Mac and Sexy Mac, but the old McIntyre was really a motivation behind the channel. So it's interesting that I don't know, it's just weird. I did the same thing with Hard for Games, to where like you're a fan of someone but then your channel becomes more popular than theirs. So it's like kind of like it's cool, but it's a little bit surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
It is.
Anyways.
But it's exciting, man.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, we've had this going for a long time now. Did we mention already that it's the 50th
episode 50? Yeah. How awesome.
Oh,
I'm excited. That's all.
So what is Banjo-Kazooie, Sunshine, Animal Crossing, which is kind of cheating because that was in 64.
Well, if I'm talking about the Wii one, there's City Folk.
Wasn't it GameCube?
No, it was GameCube.
It was
but
GameCube, but it was
Japan first.
Japan. It was Nintendo 64.
I got it. I got a brain.
Yeah, and then by the time they localized it, they were like, let's just put it on the GameCube and sell it for more money. No, maybe they probably sold it for cheaper because cartridges were more expensive than discs.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So,
We mentioned Double Dash.
Yeah, Double Dash. Which
I was going to
think
say also the combined, Ocarina of Time and Master Quest, but with the fixes they did for the 3DS. I personally don't like the graphics of the 3DS, but that's just me.
You know,
why?
I think a lot of the textures and stuff look good.
Ilya, why?
Ilya.
Why?
It's probably nostalgia. I don't know. I feel like the way Link runs, it's too smooth.
That's what I was gonna say. His walking animation bothers me.
Ugh.
He doesn't. He in Ocarina of Time on the N64, Link has a very pitter patter walk. I don't know how else to describe it. He's got like a very I don't know. You feel
it's grounded.
Yeah, you feel his walk. It feels good to walk. You know, he's got that. You know, and he's got weight to him. In the 3DS remakes, Link walking has no weight to him.
He's moonwalking.
It's too. He doesn't have a bounce to his walk. It's just a smooth thing. And I know, Jesse, please come back.
I also don't like how they make the fairies look. Their wings are too defined. Weird.
Oh really? Okay.
But that's just me. But I mean, I want the bug fixes, the thing with being able to equip the boots and things like that.
Yeah, there were some little.
Those were good.
Majora's Mask, the Zora swimming was better.
I haven't played Majora's Mask 3D actually because it's still $40, so I'm like, no.
Yeah, they should Player's Choice that one because
I know that's the only reason I got Ocarina of Time because I bought it off of eBay when it was already Player's Choice for 15.
But
I'm sure they'll bring Ocarina eventually in some form or another.
In the chat, Michael says, the only thing I don't like about the 3DS ports, the anime-like eyes. So, with that, the reason they did that is it more closely reflects the concept art and everything like that for those games. And they couldn't really accomplish that on the N64 that well. But that is one thing that's nice about the 3DS ports is that it's they very closely reflect the original artwork, but
yeah.
So
yeah,
I get it, but no, Link's walking animation bothers. That's always a sticking point for me in video games. Is if the walking animation is bad, it ruins the experience for me because you need to be able to feel good playing that character, and doing something as simple as walking should not feel bad. So, sorry, Jesse.
I noticed that when you jump, especially as adult Link, it does seem a bit off. So maybe the movement in general is off.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But they could remake it and use basically Twilight Princess HD's or Wind Waker HD's, Breath of the Wild's engine, any of those games towards as far as just making the fix for the movements go, and it would just be a-okay. So
Alright, so third piece of news, right?
Alright. Yes, we got off topic. So, is this the Nintendo Enthusiast?
yeah. That's the one that
Yeah.
we were going to do it with him a while back, and then he wasn't able to. So
Our man Brett,
Fancy.
who wrote this article,
yeah, who we hung out with at the Golden
the Golden Gopher.
Yeah, the Golden Gopher.
That was a
You
real
say
place.
the Golden Globes, and I was like, what?
Yes,
No,
we went to
it
the
was like an
Golden.
arcade bar thing.
It
Ew.
was neat.
They had Pac-Man and other stuff. It was interesting. Yeah, so do you want to take this, Mr. D?
Oh, sure. Are we just gonna jump right in?
You got to do like a quick
I could do the little intro. Okay,
Si,
here's
senora.
a quick intro. Hey, everybody. I don't know what that was.
It's Batman.
That was demonic, is what it was.
Hey, everybody. I'm Daniel. I'm joined today by Mr. Gacy and Ilya. Thanks for tuning in to the
I'm
Highland
Ilya.
Cast. Yes. And
Identity theft.
And we're just going to jump into this news here. That was my whole intro. I'm skipping the rest.
Nice.
You can watch the rest of the intro on every other video. But we're going to talk about a bit of pizza. It's not really news. It's a featured article on Nintendo Enthusiast written by our good friend Mr. Brett Medlock. I hope I said that right. And this article is Nintendo makes the weirdest hardware. Top 10 most bizarre hardware, accessories, etc. That kind of thing. So, are we just going to go through all of them, Jesse? Is that your plan?
Yeah, but quickly.
Quickly. Okay. Well, I'll jump in with the first one, and we can just take turns. So, first guy is Rob, that's an acronym for Robotic Operating Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, primarily known as Rob the Robot, which would be Robotic Operating Buddy the Robot, had a very short product lifespan and supported only a few games. Also received commands via optic flashes on your TV. Once the screen lit up, Rob was ready to receive one of his 6 commands. Nintendo had high hopes for the hardware, and though he wasn't around for long, he will never be forgotten. Luckily, we still get to see him kick butt in Smash. Yeah, I like... Rob is like such a weird little quirky accessory that kind of helps push the NES into people's homes.
Yeah.
Like, he was totally developed as a sales tactic.
Yeah.
Because kids want their toy robots.
Yeah, it is really weird though that Nintendo they literally designed a robot to play games with you,
Yes.
and it actually played decently well on
It
the games that it
worked,
was
yeah.
designed for, which is the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
That it is a gimmick, but it's not like it actually works. Anyways, Ilya, do the next one.
Alrighty. The
This
next
is
one
really rare.
is the vitality sensor. Release date? Never. The vitality sensor is a canceled accessory for the Wii. It was first announced by Satoru Iwata during Nintendo's E3 press conference in 2009. There is very little known about the vitality sensor and how it would have been integrated into video games. It was suggested by Iwata that it would have been used to relax the player, informing them about their heartbeat and body. I think Nintendo made the right decision not to move forward with this odd piece of hardware. It would have added very little to the gaming experience. So the picture they show is like that thing that when you go to the doctor, they put that little clip on your finger
Finger
that
clamp.
measures your heartbeat. It's basically that,
Yeah, tells your heart rate and stuff, which
which I guess would be good for Wii Fit.
yeah. I think this was part
But-
of they had a campaign they were going to do.
Yeah, like the health and wellness campaign thing.
Yeah,
Yay.
something
My
of
body
life.
is ready.
Quality of life.
Yeah, the quality of
That was
life was there, and everyone thought it was because they said it was going to be new hardware-based stuff, so everyone assumed it was like the NX or whatever. I
But I
think
think part of it was the Wii Fit was part of that quality of life as well. And that one actually did come out, but
So there are
fun.
games that are designed based off of stuff like this. Like there's it's a procedurally generated horror game that kind of changes depending on how you play, because if you try avoiding certain stuff, then the game will think that you're avoiding that stuff because you're afraid of it. So it'll implement more of that stuff.
Oh, that's just rude.
Yeah. So, like if you are afraid of zombies or ghosts and you try to avoid like a ghost coming out, like I don't really know what the game actually did, but I just remember like watching a quick clip of it. But it did stuff like that to try to make it as scary as possible for the player. And I think something like this, because when you're scared, your heart rate goes up. So I think if you did use it in games, it would have to be something like that, I imagine. It like for an actual game that's not just let's exercise and get healthy, to where like it'll measure your pulse rate, and then on the parts that it thinks like you thought were like the most challenging or the scariest, maybe it would like add them in later on. If you've ever played, what was the PlayStation game? Oh no, I can't.
I played one game on the PlayStation. It was Tony Hawk.
Yeah, so this was a PlayStation 4 game. It was like a stereotypical slasher movie, like cabin in the mountains covered in snow, and it was like a story-based game, kind of like Life is Strange or whatever. And there are cutscenes between the chapters where you're talking to a psychologist, and he's like, every now and then he'll hold up a picture and be like, what do you see like at this, or what do you think is scarier, or what would you rather see? And depending on like what you said was the scariest is what would show up in the game.
Oh,
so
great.
It's kind of like the same idea, I imagine. But anyways, the next one is the Nintendo 2DS. I was not expecting this.
Me either.
Nintendo 2DS, released October 2013. The Nintendo 2DS was announced in August 2013. Soon after that, the handheld was released on October 12th, 2013, to coincide with the launch of Pokemon X and Y. The announcement came as a surprise to everyone. Yes, it did, because Miyamoto told everyone that they were not going to be making any other variations of the 3DS. So
that's a lie.
Hearing the name 2DS for the first time was awkward and felt weird just saying it out loud. However, like most of the Big N's products, names like Wii and 2DS become natural after a short while. Funny how Nintendo has the ability to make those most bizarre names work out in the end.
It sounds like Brett's issue with this is not the hardware, but just the name of it. But
yeah. Like I thought it was really weird when it first came out too. I've never played a 2DS. So
you know what what kind of irks me about it is I like the idea of, okay, let's release a less expensive 3DS without the 3D feature, which is great because for me, like, I never play with the 3D on.
Very rarely for me.
I'll turn it on to like look at something and be like, that's cool, and then I'll turn it back off when I'm actually playing. But so like that idea, okay, great, I love it. But I hate that they ditched the clamshell and made it like one piece. Like the folding part of the 3DS is like, that's what makes me feel comfortable with it being, because the thumbstick's not going to get bent in my bag or something, or random buttons aren't going to get pushed. You just fold it up. It's a very comfortable design with it folded up. This looks like the regular 2DS. I've tried to hold one. It's like big and awkward and weird, and it's just one.
It's like a giant Game Boy Color.
It looks like a knockoff, it looks like a knockoff product, basically, almost, Yeah, so it's weird. It's weird and uncomfortable.
I almost considered that Hylian Shield 2DS because it was clamshell and it was really cool
That's
looking.
the thing with the 2DS XL, they fixed it because they went back to the clamshell, and I'm like, that's perfect. If only I didn't already have a 3DS, I would.
It also has a slightly different shape.
Slightly. Yeah. So it's weird.
Take us to the next one, Daniel.
Sure. I was about to start reading this exact same one you just read. The Virtual Boy. Nintendo's original failure. The Virtual Boy, released August 1995, was a short-lived virtual reality console that Nintendo released after the SNES. The idea of virtual reality gaming was grand, but Nintendo's Virtual Boy just couldn't execute VR gaming properly, given the hardware restraints at the time. Now, 28 years after its release, we are finally seeing other video games using today's technology to work on VR headsets like the Oculus Rift and the Sony PlayStation VR. Maybe Nintendo will take another whack at the VR game in the future? It's funny though because, well, they kind of already did. It's kind of like 3DS and VR, like 3D and VR basically, way ahead of its time, very much restricted by the fact that it was too ahead of its time to actually work properly. And there was like only a handful of games that were actually released for it. So
oddly enough, I think it is the only Nintendo console to not get a Zelda game.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And then,
well, technically the Wii U is the only one that didn't get like an exclusive Zelda game on its release, like on the Zelda game's release.
Yeah.
Because it was, oh no, Twilight Princess did the, oh no, but then the GameCube had the Wind Waker, right? And then Twilight Princess was this weird in-between step, but then the Wii still had
Skyward
Sword. Yeah, the Wii U never had a Zelda game that was released just for the Wii U. And then maybe re-released later.
Yeah.
Because Breath of the Wild was co-released.
Yeah, that's true.
RIP Wii U, I miss you.
The other interesting thing is, I always say, like, the 3DS never had its own original traditional Zelda game, but it had the most Zelda games of any other console.
Kind of, because of Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, but like
that's
a reason.
And the eShop games, you can get those.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can play like almost every 2D Zelda game, if not every 2D Zelda game on the 3DS. Yeah. Because either they were re-released or eShop. It's neat.
Do you want to take us? Wait, has any of you ever played the Virtual Boy?
No, I have not.
No.
It would hurt my eyes.
I kind of want one as just like a collector's item more than anything else. But
I have a Virtual Boy in my Animal Crossing New Leaf.
That's hilarious. I love it.
What was it? There was. I played Mario Tennis for the Virtual Boy. I think that was the only game that I played for it.
Wow.
My cousin owned it. I thought it was the most bizarre thing in the world, and I think eventually they lost the power supply for it, and I think they just threw it out. So.
No.
Ooh, that would have been a good collector's item.
Yeah.
It's funny. I like how the controller looks.
No. 2D pads.
It almost looks like a precursor to the GameCube controller. You know?
Yeah, in the shape.
In the shape, yeah. It doesn't look like it would actually be really any good to play with or anything, but I just like how it looks. But I like the symmetry. Okay.
That's fair.
All right. Ilya, would you like the next one?
Take us away.
Yes, this one looks cool because I feel like it would make me feel like Buzz Lightyear. If anyone gets that reference. Anyway, the Game Boy Micro, released September 2005. I have never heard of this.
Really?
The Game Boy Micro, I was 10 at the time too, so depending on, at this point I was 10. The Game Boy Micro was officially unveiled by Nintendo at the company's E3 press conference in 2005. Oddly enough, the Game Boy SKU released after the Nintendo DS and was the last console for the original Game Boy line. The lifespan was short, seeing that the Nintendo DS was dominating in sales. The Micro is unique, to say the least. It was, and still is, the smallest dedicated gaming device you can find, and even came with the function to swap out multiple faceplates. You can still find these bad boys new on Amazon, but you'll have to pay a hefty price. And it's like, for anyone that obviously can't see it, it's like this glove, and there's like a thing on it with a bunch of buttons.
No, you're looking
below.
below.
Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Yeah.
You're looking at the wrong picture.
Oh,
The Pikachu.
Sorry, I'm talking about. I've took Jesse's. That thing, that looks normal.
Elia, no.
I'm sorry,
Boy
I forgot
Micro...
the pictures were above.
Oh,
it's okay.
No.
Really tiny square rectangle. Never mind.
The Game Boy Micros are nice. It looks very sleek.
It looks very simple.
Very small. But I mean, it's just it's a really small Game Boy.
Sorry, the next one's the one that made me feel like Buzz Lightyear.
Yes. But there's a used game shop like a few blocks down from me called Game Deals. If anyone's a Vancouver local, they're and into the gaming scene, they need to know about this store because it's the greatest.
Don't give away where you live.
And everyone knows. Everyone knows. I always talk about Vancouver.
Well, yeah, but now they know like the area.
Oh
the
no!
store is too good to keep all to myself. I always tell people about this, but they have like a ton of these. They've got tons of Game Boy Micros for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I've never bought one, but I've thought about it. But
the used video game store that I used to work at had not just like they had almost all of the different variations of the Game Boy Advance, and like they weren't like bagged or put up or anywhere. They were just like underneath the shelf, just literally thrown in there. And it's like nobody was interested in them, so maybe they're expensive.
The people take care at that store. Staff, like they organize everything, they test everything. They won't sell it if they don't test it first. And then they've got like everything organized, every console generation. They have like a wall of shelves. It's just like stacks of consoles, used consoles that work.
Wow.
It's a beautiful store. It's a wonderful place.
All right. Well,
it's great.
I'm yawning again.
So there's my shout out, Game Deals. Game Deals video games.
Give Daniel a sponsorship.
I'm gonna tag them on Twitter when this video goes up.
So this next one's interesting because it makes me feel like Buzz Lightyear. So,
I know, I screwed it up. I'm so confused by it too.
it is very confusing. Not actually made by Nintendo though, but endorsed by Nintendo. So it was in
like
the movie.
The Wizard.
Yeah, you stole my.
I stole it.
Because that guy, he acts like he's really cool, and he's like, watch this.
It's so bad. He's like, can't remember what game it was. So he's playing it. It's a movie, obviously, so they kind of ramp it up. But he's like playing on it super intensely.
The entire movie was a promotional ad for Super Mario Bros. 3.
Yeah, pretty much. Just like an hour-and-a-half long ad.
Yeah, they have the Nintendo World Championships at the very end of the movie, and then the new game they release is where they show off Super Mario Bros. 3, and it was like, because now people just upload videos on YouTube. Back then, instead of having a commercial, like the game was first announced during that movie. So watching that movie for the first time was the first time people would learn about the new Mario game. And it was really stupid because it made no sense at all. Because the main character, who's supposed to be like a wizard at gaming, like the very first time the game's showing off, he already knows where like all of the secret stuff is and like all of the hidden things. And it's like, that doesn't... How? Like he's jumping in like the secret areas and getting all of the bonus.
Because he's just that good, Jesse.
Yeah.
He's just that good.
Yeah.
He's a wizard.
Anyways, it says the Power Glove, 1989, is a controller accessory for the NES and was released by Mattel. Yeah, that's it. Mattel released it. It was a bit of a letdown due to its wonky control setup. 2 games were released with specific features for the Power Glove: Super Glove Ball, a 3D puzzler, and Bad Street Brawler, a beat-em-up. Both games were playable with the standard NES controllers as well, but included moves that could only be used with the Power Glove. Although it was tough to use, it will always be an iconic Nintendo accessory.
I always joke if I'm gonna try and go the collector's route, I'm gonna need to get a Rob and a Power Glove. And like have Rob, I'm gonna put it on the shelf with Rob like wearing it.
Oh my god.
You know how people put gloves on to hold birds?
Yeah.
So you could put the glove on to hold Rob.
Ah, there you go.
Daniel, what is this next thing?
The next thing is called the Pocket Sonar, released 1998. So cool.
Oh my gosh.
The Game Boy Pocket Sonar was a peripheral for the Game Boy made by Bandai Namco.
Can I say really quick?
Yes.
So a lot of Nintendo games ended up having fishing in them, like Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time are really famous for fishing. And it's all because of one developer was obsessed with fishing, and I bet this was his idea as well. Like at every boardroom meeting, he was probably just like, "Hey, Miyamoto, can we make a fishing game?"
Can you imagine how choked he was when they were making Wind Waker? He's like shaking in his like fishing.
Fish!
Right,
The fish talk to you and paint things on your map.
Finished it. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I just think it's really funny because like it has the realistic fish on the box, and it just made me think about that because that's how Link's Awakening started. He was just making like a fishing game, and then they turned it into like a Zelda thing. So continue.
Neat tidbit. So it used sonar to locate fish underwater for the real life sport of fishing, for IRL, actual fishing. In real life, don't drop your Game Boy in the water, please. This is not a joke. It actually exists. It has also had a fishing minigame built in. Just can't make this stuff up.
No.
It's great. It's a real thing. I would be so worried about dropping my Game Boy in the water. I would never
Seriously.
want to take it
So
fishing.
if you remember, the Game Boy had a lot of weird accessories, like the camera that printed out pictures
Game Boy
and stuff.
camera.
With this, like, it uses sonar, but like, I don't know. It seems a bit too advanced
That's
for a
really
Game
weird.
Boy. All right, Ilya, it's your turn.
And I'm gonna look at the correct picture this time. The Circle Pad Pro, released in October of 2009. The Circle Pad Pro is a controller add-on that adds one additional circle pad to the 3DS, as well as 2 additional shoulder buttons. This bulky accessory is compatible with games like Monster Hunter 3G and Resident Evil Revelations. It opened up a lot of possibilities for the 3DS. Sadly, it wasn't utilized as much as gamers hoped for. Many people bashed on its design due to its boat-like qualities. The Nintendo 3DS also made this accessory obsolete. And it does look weird. It looks like it would be heavy on one side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it could be good in the fact that because it's bigger, or the 3DS, it's sometimes like the 3DS is a little bit small, and I guess for some people they might find it too small.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely made obsolete with the new 3DS, especially 3DS XL. You got the little nubby thing on the for the C stick.
Yeah.
It reminds me of some of the Game Boy stuff. Like there was a thing to make the Game Boy screen larger, not by giving it a larger screen, by putting a magnifying glass
yes!
in front of it. Like it just had a giant magnifying glass, like 2 inches off of the screen. And then there was who was it? I think Cinemassacre or Angry Video Game Nerd had a video with like all of the accessories. And they made the Game Boy end up looking like this giant monstrosity. I can't talk. Words are hard.
Monstrosity?
Yes. Yeah.
I had that little thing you plugged in so that like it had like a
light.
Yeah,
little
but it
reading
had
lamp?
the flexible neck. I would be like, if we had like a long drive home or something and it was nighttime, I'd be playing my little hot pink Game Boy Color with the pink light extender thing, playing my Barbie mermaid game because I was like 5.
That's awesome.
Love it.
This next one makes me laugh. All right. Okay. Yeah. So the Circle Pad Pro at the time was really good for Kid Icarus. That's the only one that I really remember. And Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Those are the only real games that I can think of. The Power Pad. The Power Pad floor mat is a control. It made me laugh. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, it is a gray mat with 12 pressure sensors embedded between 2 layers of flexible plastic. The Power Pad was implemented into a total of 11 games on the NES. In hindsight, this accessory foreshadowed what was to come in the future with games like Dance Dance Revolution, and also used a floor mat as a controller For that alone, I salute Nintendo. There was also a game. Like, this looks like he's playing a karate game, but then it looks like Mario Kart on the TV.
It looks weird.
Isn't that how you play Mario Kart? You're like,
by judo chopping everyone.
But there was like the track and field game where like you had to run really fast on it, but that only had like 2 pads. This one has like they might as well be playing Twister.
Yeah.
I
What's
love
funny is
Twister.
my ex-girlfriend had the DDR mat for the Wii, and it always made me roll my eyes. Just like, it's the most ridiculous accessory. But it was basically that same thing, except actually fewer buttons, fewer points, because there's only 9.
Yeah. Take our last one, Daniel.
Sure. It's the Pokeball Plus. It hasn't actually been released yet. Coming this November. The Pokeball Plus is the most recent piece of hardware on this list. It's a controller with literally only 2 buttons, one of which is the joystick itself. Nintendo wanted to make playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu extremely simple to understand. The simplistic control scheme is perfect for newcomers, but may leave longtime fans disappointed. I had the opportunity to play with this controller during E3 2018. Not me, I didn't. Brett, who wrote this article, did.
Yeah, we didn't get to play Pokemon.
No, the lineup for it was 3 hours long.
There was a line for the line.
There was a line to get in the 3-hour-long lineup as well, so we didn't actually play Pokemon.
Good lord.
But Brett had the opportunity to play with this controller during E3 and walked away pretty disappointed. It's just not very comfortable and makes the game feel like a bare-bones experience, even if you are technically using the same amount of buttons. While playing with a traditional controller, doesn't pull you out of the experience like the Pokeball Plus does. Now, counterpoint, my thought was when they released or they showed off the Pokeball Plus, my thought was the reason to have it was to take it with you.
Yeah, that was my thought.
I thought there was an incentive to take it with you, something in-game
and you get
related to that. And you get Mew.
And you get the LED lights up depending on the Pokemon you have in it.
Yes.
So if you have Pikachu, it'll be yellow. If you have Charmander, it'll be blue. If you have Squirtle, it'll be green.
You just
it kind of reminds me though, it's like a bigger Pokemon Go Plus. The Pokemon Go Plus is obviously Pokemon Go. Very similar. That was almost foreshadowing. I bought one for my wife. She really loves Pokemon Go.
Did she have a Zubat?
Many Zubats. But those little Pokemon Go Pluses are actually pretty hard to find now. But yeah, I like when I first saw this, I was like, wow, it's just a bigger Pokemon Go Plus. But it actually has a little bit more function. So I think it's neat. I probably wouldn't use it, but probably get it for the kid because he would love it.
Does it have real Pokemon inside of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm buying one.
So
I just want Pikachu. If I have enough money saved up, doubt it, I have to pay loans soon. But I would be interested in this just because for the concept of I have a Pikachu with me right now.
Yeah, and you can like
just shake it up.
Yeah, you shake it and it cries because its head's rattling around inside the Pokeball.
Like, ah!
But then again, I don't think I would ever put my Pikachu inside the Pokeball thinking of the anime because that Pikachu doesn't like Pokeballs.
Well, in the game, it can have him just like right on your shoulder.
You can get a
that I will like.
You can get a stuffed Pikachu toy, and then put the Pokeball inside that Pikachu, or like a Pikachu backpack, and put the Pokeball inside, or like let the Pokeball dingle off.
I do want a big stuffed Pikachu someday. I will want like life size. Life size. And I know when I get Let's Go Pikachu, I'm getting a female one because I want the heart-shaped tail.
Nice. Fans of the podcast, send Ilya a life-sized Pikachu. Or giant-sized Pikachu.
Giant-sized Pikachu. But then that's too big,
A
Ilya.
Snorlaxachu.
It can't be big. Okay, if I had, like, I would love the idea of getting a giant beanbag chair that's a Snorlax.
Yeah, actually, that would be cool.
That would be life. But I would want, like, a life-size Pikachu, you know.
Gibbs in the chat says, Ilya looks like she would like Eevee over Pikachu. What's funny is
yeah,
actually,
of course, that's what I'm getting at.
You do.
Eevee does have evolutions, and I love Eevee, but childhood, it has to be Pikachu. I would spend moments. I'd be watching the anime as a kid, And sometimes I would just start crying when Pikachu would make sounds. So I'd be like, why isn't this real? I want Pikachu so bad. I'm like 6 years old and I'm crying because I want a Pikachu.
I guess I like Eevee more, but I don't have the same nostalgia for Pokemon. Like, Pokemon was a big part of my childhood second-handedly because everybody was nuts about Pokemon. I didn't have any Pokemon growing up. I came into Pokemon as an adult. So, because like I never had a handheld console until the DS. That was my first handheld. And I found Pokemon Stadium on the N64 really boring. And and that was like my gaming taste of Pokemon was Pokemon Stadium on the N64. And I was like, I don't know anything about Pokemon. This is boring. And so for me coming into it as an adult, I'm like all over Eevee. Eevee's, I'm like,
well,
wow,
Eevee
this
has
is
a lot of
evolve in
opportunities.
different ways, and it's adorable, and you know, I love Eevee. So
the evolutions.
That's a little, but I'm not biased from that nostalgia. So I feel like if I had grown up with it, I probably would have a soft spot for. That's a different favorite Pokemon.
I mean, to be fair, my experience with Pokemon was Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, Hey You Pikachu, which never worked.
I had a neighbor
Pokemon
who had
Snap.
that game.
So the really simple games were my experience. Favorite minigame of all time is the Lick-a-Tongue one in Pokemon Stadium.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
You eat
my
something
son,
spicy?
He loves Pikachu, and probably because he loves the cartoon, he loves watching the show, which I never watched as a kid either, because we didn't have cable for some reason. We just played video games, and then if we watched TV shows, just imagine 8-year-old Daniel. I was watching Frasier, okay? So I don't know why. I loved that show so much, and I don't know why. Kids shouldn't like that show. That's not normal. So
I liked Friends as a child. I didn't get
Friends is good too. I love Friends.
So, and then I watch it like 5 years later, and I'm like, oh.
It's funny going back to that show as an adult and watching Friends, and I'm like, Ross is a problematic human being.
Yes, he is.
I would not be his friend. I'm just putting that out there. So, sorry, Jesse. He's done the lean back. We've derailed the podcast.
No, like I was just thinking, like I never went back to watch Friends, so I was trying to think, how is he? I don't know.
He's incredibly problematic. He goes into this weird, very self-centered state of being, and he constantly, and like he's incredibly paranoid, and he is so concerned about like his status and everything that he just like throws everyone else under the bus. He gets drunk and marries Rachel, and she's like, I don't want this, we're gonna like get an annulment, and he lies and tells her that he did, but
because he's in love with her,
but doesn't, because he doesn't want to be the guy that had 3 divorces. And it's just,
like that's how you treat someone you love.
Yeah, so it's just a bad state of being. If you watch the show, you watch him go from like the underdog to just this incredibly annoying person.
Yes. Chandler's the best.
Chandler, Joey's wholesome as well. So, yes.
Rachel has a good arc. She grows as a human.
Same with Chandler. Ross has a negative arc. This is the Friends podcast now.
With friends. Friends with friends. That's a good podcast name.
There you go.
Alright, I think...
Wait, Gibbs says, oh, that explains a lot about Daniel.
Yes. Yes. It was, oh, and the whole we were on a break thing as well with Ross. Okay, that drives me nuts because it's just like, man, get over yourself. Just own it. Just own up. He's just such a dishonest, sly person that I just
he has to be right about everything.
That's the thing. Yeah, I just couldn't. And this is something I never picked up on when I was younger, but as an adult watching it, I was like, wow, Ross is terrible. This is a terrible person. I always thought Rachel was annoying, but that's just because, as a kid, because she starts out that way. But then she actually grows into being a very, she has a lot of integrity, and she becomes a self-made woman, and she bursts into the industry that she wants to work in. from being like a waitress to like being in the fashion industry that she's actually pursuing, and it's good. Gibbs says, talk about Frasier. Okay, so Niles was always my favorite character.
I will say the funniest thing with Ross was the Unagi episode, where he claims he can do this self-defense thing, and then Phoebe and Rachel jump scare him, and I'm like, Simon Skin Raw.
There's some things with Friends that are incredibly dated though, because Phoebe is the only person who is like basically a good person with no flaws. Can you stop throwing things, please? My kid's throwing Pokemon. Anyway, and Phoebe is treated as being weird for that.
I feel like there's an argument in the chat about Friends. Yes. It's like, they were on a break.
But, yeah, so... Frasier was very good, too. I never really got into Cheers, which is weird because Frasier's a spin-off show from Cheers, but...
She was his lobster dude. They were on a break, indeed. Now everyone's commenting.
No, okay. Yes, they were on a break, but at a certain point, if you hurt someone's feelings, you can't just be like, "We were on a break. It's not my fault." You gotta own up and be like, "You know what? Sure, we were on a break, and I did this, but I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings, and I want to move on, and I didn't realize, and they made a mistake, and all this." Like, and you can move on past it. But if you're like, "I'm not willing to take responsibility because I have to be right," okay, I have to stop this kid from throwing stuff around the house.
Let us know in the chat if you want Daniel to host a Friends podcast.
Oh my gosh. Also, while he grabs stuff, I'm super hungry. I'm gonna grab some cheese really, really quick.
Alright.
I'm gonna leave Jesse alone.
I don't know about the Friends, so I can't answer your questions. But when everyone gets back, we will talk about Super Mario 64, what we like, what we would change about it if it were to be remade, and then we'll answer all of your questions.
I'm back!
Oh, everyone! Justin Long is here. Yes, I agree, but they were on break. Did he leave because of the Justin Long thing? I don't know. I made that joke because he looks like Justin Long in Jeepers Creepers. One of my favorite movies. It was pretty good.
Hi, I'm Justin Long.
Hi. No,
I rejected the notion.
When
now
you were walking in, you
yeah.
looked like you looked like
Justin Long?
Yeah, from Jeepers Creepers. Like when younger Justin Long.
That I look like the comedian Dimitri Martin. But I think it's just because I have a huge nose.
So everyone in the chat says that you should start a Friends podcast. And call it...
I have genuine thoughts about these shows.
You have to call it Friends with Friends.
Friends with Friends. Oh my god, that's going to be the 50th episode special of our podcast is Friends with Friends.
Now everyone's saying that you do look like Justin Long. He really does. Laugh out loud, he does.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What have you started?
I don't know. Don't boycott me.
But,
Alright, we ready for the next thing?
Yes, let's. now that we've had a good discussion of 90s com, just wait till you hear what I have to say about How I Met Your Mother.
What about, you posted something about Seinfeld on Facebook.
Oh, Jerry Seinfeld is a problematic human being. But
that was the real world Ross.
That was an IRL thing. But what is it what I said? I said Jerry Seinfeld is a problematic human being, will best be known as the worst part of his own sitcom and the guy who made a movie about a bee who wants to have sex with a human. So
wait, that's what the bee movie's about?
Yes, he's in.
I mean, he's flirting with a human.
Yeah, he wants.
So it's like Sonic 06.
He wants to, yeah, but with a bee instead of a hedgehog.
Both are bad.
Maybe he wrote the script.
Everyone in that show is terrible, though. Jerry Seinfeld, the Seinfeld
Kramer's
show.
Great.
He's funny, but they're all bad people.
They're all bad people, sure.
Well,
but
And they get their just desserts at the end.
And the thing that you posted about, he was...
But that was him in real life. He was having a conversation with John Mulaney, who's a comedian I really like. And basically, he was... him and John Mulaney were talking about this art piece, and John Mulaney was like, okay, for me, visually, like, I can't picture these things together. My wife is really good at that, though. And Jerry's like, your wife just thinks she's good at that. And he's like, no, she's really good at it. She can visualize this stuff really well. And Jerry's like, no, all wives just think they're good at that kind of thing. But it's just like how all men think they're funny, but they're not. And John is like he basically had to go into like do not engage mode because he killed Jerry Seinfeld. Here's the thing, though, when they were talking about this art, and John Mulaney saying that his wife was good at visualizing things together in a room. His wife is literally an interior designer. That's her job. She has to be good at it, or she would not have a job. So, but yeah, Jerry Seinfeld, if you actually like him as a human being in the real world, he kind of is problematic. So
he's a part of this really funny show, though, right now. The comedians in cars or whatever.
Yeah, but I almost feel like it's the same thing with Seinfeld. He's kind of the worst part of that show. Like the other,
really? I like
the other comedians,
he calls people
I feel
out
like
on a lot of their crap.
True, but
and they call
I think
him
that
out
might
on
have been a
his...
clip from that show, actually. But
probably. This is not Zelda at all.
People in the chat were like, "Oh my god, we just need a sitcom general podcast from Jennifer."
Oh no!
Sitcom
what
podcast.
have I started?
Sorry. Oh my god!
How
What
did
are you
this
guys
even
talking
happen?
Oh.
It happened because we were talking about Pokemon, and you said you didn't watch Pokemon. You watched Frasier. That's why.
Yes, I had a weird childhood. I had a very strange childhood because a lot of Frasier and a little bit of Seinfeld, and what was the other show? I'm trying to remember what the other big one was. King of Queens. I don't know if anyone remembers that one. Had Kevin James at his funniest. After that, he stopped being funny. He started making Paul Blart, which is not actually funny, but that show was, and again, Kevin James was the worst part of that show. The funny man in that show was the Arthur Stiller, who is actually Ben Stiller, or
the dad?
Ben Stiller's dad, plays the father-in-law in that show, and he's the funniest part of that show. But yeah, he's actually Ben Stiller's dad in real life. But yeah, he's that show was interesting. It was when I look back on it now, very stereotypical fat guy with a hot wife, and that's the whole show. So
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in to Friends with Friends. Next week we will be back to talk about...
We're going to talk about How I Met Your Mother. No, I'm kidding.
We're going to talk about the Kardashians. Jersey.
No! Get out!
No, I would
Don't
never.
bring that up here. This is a safe place. I can't believe you brought that up.
How do I give this stream likes? Did you tune in because we were talking about stuff? Let us know, Jennifer.
Jennifer Anderson? Or is this Jennifer Aniston?
That was my first thought.
Friends with Friends confirmed.
Alright, so...
let's talk about the actual thing we were going to talk about.
What is next?
Make another account. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse. Today, we're going to... I skipped you guys. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, here with Daniel and Ilya. Today, we are going to be talking about Super Mario 64. First, we're going to be talking about everything that we love about the game, all of our favorite stuff. And then we're going to have a separate video talking about the stuff that we would change about the game. Stuff that we didn't like, stuff that we hated, things that if we're not there, the game would have been better. Or if we can't think of anything, then something we would add to make it better. With, for instance, if they were to remake the game, what would we want them to take out? Similar to how they changed stuff around with Wind Waker HD, removing the Triforce Quest, and the Tears of Light segments being shortened in Twilight Princess. So, starting with you, Ilya. What do you love the most about Super Mario 64? When you think of that game, what kind of memories do you have?
I have quite a few memories with that
Cool.
game.
Daniel.
I always loved...
What?
No, I'm not finished. I love the jumping through paintings, the world, and I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. I think like my favorite part is the success of the world they made, because you think about what the 2D games were, and it's just side-scrolling, and the fact that they were able to take that and take the challenge, because sure, it was a challenge to put Zelda into 3D, but there was already like a big world. It wasn't side-scrolling, well, except for the second one, but even that had an overworld, sort of.
Yeah.
So there was already a world, whereas Super Mario, it was, again, side-scrolling. They had to take that and make it that concept into a 3D land, and I just feel like the overall concept of it, changing Mario to 3D, was so well done. Granted, I didn't comprehend that when it came out.
Be right back, 1 second.
Go on, continue.
I mean, granted, I didn't really comprehend that as a kid, but looking back on it, and I'm like, wow, because it was just a fun game. And I'm like, they did a really good job converting this to 3D. Good job.
Yeah. I really liked, like, just there was really a lot in the game. Probably not now compared to other games. Like, we have Odyssey, obviously, and some other games. But for their very first attempt at Super Mario 64, then it's like, I wouldn't have expected there to be so much, you know? Daniel just comes sliding in again.
Sorry about that.
But
So,
what did I miss? Give me the cliff notes.
Ilya likes that it was a good job in 3D.
Yes.
it was a good job converting that concept. Really good.
Yeah. With me, I was talking about how when you think of like a traditional Mario game, like even with the very first Mario game, they reused a lot of the same levels and just like retextured them so they looked different, but they were laid out the exact same way. And then with which is really weird, because then the second Mario game was the exact same as the first game, but harder levels. And it's like, why didn't they just mix them? That way they weren't reusing levels. But anyways, with Super Mario 64, it being Nintendo's first big 3D game, like, there was a lot of depth to it. Like, each world or level that you jumped into had several different ways of getting stars and beating it, and they were all unique. And there was a lot more. Like, once you're done with the first room, there's like other rooms, and then like you don't just fight Bowser once, you have to fight him 3 times. There's a bunch of bosses. Some levels have races, some levels have you like actually beating a boss, some have you finding hidden things, some have you you have to like go back and revisit because you unlock like the flying cap or whatever. So there was a lot of depth to it that I would have not thought they would have done. So they did a really good job with that. That was probably my favorite thing, because typically, like, if you beat a level, you really don't go back to it unless you're just replaying through the game, but it gives you a reason to go back. And then there are stuff that you can do in the world itself as well.
Yes, like the secret castle stars and everything.
Yeah.
Going on the roof.
Yeah, and there's like platforming that you have to do to like get to certain areas and things, and then like the moat outside dries up or something. Yeah. So
yeah,
a lot of cool stuff. Catching the little rabbit thing. Daniel, what did you love about the game?
I want to say the variety and the themes. Like, there is a lot of for a game that takes place entirely inside of one castle. There is a lot of variety. They could have made a game, but they did not go that direction.
That's what they were originally going to do with Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
It was all just going to be Ganon's castle.
But man, am I glad they didn't.
Yes.
So, like, they gave you, like, it's just very miniature sandboxes, basically, which I feel those levels are big enough to explore a lot and not be like too big for the objectives that they have. And just even in just the first section, there's a lot of different themes you go through. There's like a sunken ship, then there's a mountain that's snowy, and there's penguins, and there's a raceway, and there's football battlefields, and there's I can't remember, Thwomp's Fortress, that's what it's called, and then haunted houses, volcanoes, deserts, just it almost sounds like stereotypical, like the different kinds of themes, but like you go through so much variety in that game, and it's very well implemented without feeling like kind of janky, like, oh, I was just in a snowy place, why am I in a volcano now? You know, but because they're separated the way they are, it doesn't feel unnatural to do to have those different themes and all that variety. So blah, blah, blah. I was stumbling on my words there, but that's what I like. It's tons of variety, and it's nicely knitted together. So
So what if Mario jumped into the painting at the Airbnb?
To the dog world? To the weird demented dog world?
I was telling someone about that painting the other day, and I feel like I was not able to explain just how funny it was. They gave us
painting
hours of laughs every day for the entire week.
It really, yeah, like that, just that weird painting.
And it seemed like it came out of nowhere because we didn't notice it the first day.
No,
until like the next morning when we were in the kitchen.
Yeah, Ilya looks a little lost, but for
I do remember it.
Yeah, but if anyone's watching as well, if you don't know, when we were in LA for E3, we were staying at an Airbnb, and they had this painting of, I want to say 12 dog portraits. It was like a portrait of 12 dogs. And I wouldn't say they were the most accurately painted dogs. I would say that the painter didn't know a lot about dogs. He had seen dogs, but he didn't know a lot about dogs while painting these 12 desperate, lonely, sad dogs. And they just look like
Oh my god.
they were abandoned, and they also look a bit like they were abandoned for a reason. So
yeah, like he's never seen dogs, but someone told him about dogs, and then he painted
like he's
from
heard of them. He painted them like how someone described it to him, but not without actually seeing a dog.
I'm just imagining the picture of dogs playing cards for some reason.
No.
I know it's not that, but
That's 10 times better.
It's just 12 dog portraits, like just their faces.
Just a message him and ask him if we could buy the painting from him.
I'll give you $10.
I will give you 10 dogglers.
I will give you a dozen eggs, one for each dog.
Yeah, we couldn't get enough of that painting. Like, we were just laughing about it for literally hours.
Yeah. There's pictures on Instagram. But the next thing, Ilya.
What would I change?
No. We're doing 2 each.
Oh, 2.
Yeah.
2.
I didn't know that.
Otherwise, we would have just named 3 things, and that's
Shoot.
not a lot.
I'm trying to think of something.
All right, Daniel, do you have a second
liked
thing?
a lot of things.
A second thing I like?
Yeah.
The music. Kind of ties into what I was going to say before. Because the music has a lot of variety too. But was it Koji Kondo? Did he do the music for Mario 64 as well?
I think so.
Probably.
That is some of the most iconic Mario music. Like, you could put on the theme to Bomb Battlefield, and someone's like,
Yeah, it was Koji.
oh, I know that one. And
Yep.
that's one of those things that you can put on like any one of those tracks, and it's like instantly someone knows what it is and makes a connection to that game and feels something. A lot. Some of those tracks are weirdly melancholic and emotional, and there's not that many of them that are reused. Like, there's a lot of different ones for all the different levels, and it's written so perfectly for the levels that they are. used in as well. So yes, I love it. It's almost a cop-out answer. Probably still Ilya's answer.
Well, I was considering that, but I have a
good.
different one. So
Good.
my
Tell us.
second thing would be, because I was very young when this game came out. I mean, what was it, 96, 97?
Yeah.
So I wasn't old enough to play the game. But I was alive, but I wouldn't have played it till a few years later. But I felt that it was and still do think that it's a very accessible game to play. There's one aspect of it that's annoying, which goes into what I'll say I wish could be changed. But I don't know. It's just so easy to jump in because, you know, it's Mario. It has a very fun feel. Just like I haven't played, until Odyssey, I hadn't played a Mario game since Sunshine, which was a long time ago. And I feel like Super Mario 64 kind of started that trend of just, you know, anyone can just jump right into a Mario game, and the music's great, the graphics are great, or like the aesthetic of it is great, and it's just fun, and you're like, okay, cool, I can do this. And it's, I don't know, it's accessible. So that's the other thing I like.
Cool.
Good answer. I like it.
I was going to say the controls, but I think that's an obvious thing. And that kind of goes with what
Kind of ties into, yeah.
Ilya was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the controls were hard, then you wouldn't be able to just jump in. So I will say...
I don't like.
Oh, really? What?
But you don't like the... But the thing is, like playing that game as Mario, he controls almost too well.
It's like, how
for
dare
an
you,
N64
Nintendo?
game. Yeah, no, it feels
I guess
like...
I was going to say the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's definitely going on the bad list. But no, the controls, he controls so smoothly in that game. And I remember going back to it a few years ago and thinking,
on the
like...
Wii U?
No, it's original hardware. And just thinking, like, this controls extremely well. Especially considering it, not only is it an N64, which generally they're a little bit clunky by today's standards, but it's one of the first N64 games, if not probably the very first N64 game ever. And it shouldn't. Usually, early console games can be a little rough around the edges with how, especially such an early 3D game, and they made it so well. I gush about how well Mario handles in that game. So, damn it, no bad controls. I decline that answer.
All right. So, my thing is the variety in attacks. How could you attack people in the first Mario game?
Jump on them.
Or you spit fire, yes.
Yes, shoot fire from your palms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mario 64 has you like jump the ground pound thing that Yoshi does. You could... Yeah, that's true. You could like do a bunch of things, but I feel like for the first time you could actually punch and kick and stuff. So whenever it came to like Goombas, it's not just throwing something at them or jumping on their head. Like Mario actually puts his gloves on and punches and kicks and stuff, which is kind of odd, but still very interesting. And then with like Bowser and some of the other people, you would just grab them and throw them. Just literally pick them up and throw them at a bomb, which was kind of interesting. So, yeah, that's very short, but that's what I would say. It's just like the combat was completely different than other games. You could still do what you did in past games, but it gave you a lot more variety. And not every enemy, but a lot of enemies had different ways to destroy them, or certain ways you had to get rid of them. So that was really cool.
I agree.
Alright, so now let's talk about all the stuff that we don't like.
Great.
Right?
Are you a new intro for that?
Yes. Would you like to do it, Ilya?
Okay.
Do it.
You haven't done an intro
Take us away.
today. Daniel's done one or
haven't.
two.
One.
I'm okay. Ready? Yes. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to the Game Over Jesse podcast. Where today with me, Ilya, obviously the main dude, Game Over Jesse, and Daniel,
I'm Daniel.
will be talking about things that we didn't like or would like to change from Mario 64. We already talked about what we did like, but to be fair, we're going to talk about what we didn't like and want to change too. Should I just go first, or should I hand it off to someone else?
That was
okay. Okay. So, I think everyone probably agrees with this, but the camera was a little difficult to control. And I'm someone that if I can't control the camera, it's very difficult for me. But then again, I mean, in hindsight, there's not much to change for Mario 64. But yeah, that was just difficult for me as a kid. It would always like jolt one way, jolt another, whatever. But
Yeah, it's the downside of having it with the C buttons rather than a C stick, where you can't
Yes.
smoothly just pan the camera and move it. You gotta like, just like it's on a track almost. And you just kind of have to crank it to another position. Very jagged feeling.
They should
yeah.
they should have
Weirdly, Ocarina of Time does it camera controls better, even though it's way more limited to what you can do. But maybe that's part of what makes it better. So
that's
Maybe.
actually what I was gonna say, is that
oh,
they should have like I don't think they used the L button in Super Mario 64. So if they could have used the Z button for the camera, like instead of using that, because that's what made Mario like duck down, so they could have used the L button to like put the camera right behind his back, because
true. Then you have to
yeah.
like, oh, look, you've got it here.
You got
But using
Pokemon in the
the L
back?
button-
No, the Rumble Pack.
it is the card reader,
I love
the
that.
Game Boy card
We
reader.
had that.
Were you
But
playing Pokemon?
no, I was gonna sell this.
Okay, because I was
I don't have Pokemon Stadium to actually
Yeah.
use this. But anyways,
I was gonna say, you just said that you didn't like Pokemon Stadium. And
I
then
no
you just,
longer have it.
You just happen to have
Yeah.
the accessory.
But to press the L button, you gotta move one of your hands. You can either tap it or take your hand right off the control stick, which feels sacrilegious to do. And there's no good way to do this with
Nope.
the L button.
Did R
There's-
do anything? What did R
R, I feel like it did, but I can't think of what. Someone in the chat, help us!
Yeah.
I don't
What did
know.
the R button
It's
do?
honestly been like 10 years since I've played this game.
do? Mm-hmm.
I need to go back and play
Been
it, but I don't think we
less
have
time
it.
for me, but definitely been a bit. Yeah, probably been a few years, but I don't know. I can't remember what the R button would do. I don't think it does anything. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything it does.
So it raises his shield, right?
You know, that's something I miss in newer Zelda games,
Oh.
actually. Having, with like Breath of the Wild, your shield button is just the same as L. Or it is L. But that's
Yeah.
also your targeting button. So as soon as you target, Link will raise his shield. But in Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess on the Gamecube, but not the Wii, it was a separate button to raise the shield. And I kind of miss that. Kind of like the shield being almost an independent function that you have to
Yeah.
actually use. So,
That way it doesn't automatically activate Darunia's shield either. Because, like, sometimes I just want to do shoot, what's it called? When you parry
Yeah.
attack, and I'm like, I don't
Yes.
need the shield. I'm going to be fine. But I has to use the shield. His shield. And I'm like, I don't need this right
Yes.
now.
Yeah. It like wastes it.
R is a camera, an extra camera control apparently. That doesn't sound right.
Maybe they thought about this too, and that's why they changed the way the camera works in Zelda.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, Daniel, what is the thing that you hate?
Well, we already covered the camera, but that is the big thing. Damn, Jesse, this.
Right.
What do I not like?
Do you want me to go while
me.
you think?
You go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fact that it takes place entirely in a castle, which, again, they were originally going to do with Zelda. Even the first tech demo that we've seen of Ocarina of Time was Link in the castle fighting the skeleton person. What was it called? The Stalfos. Yeah. So he was fighting the Stalfos in the castle. So the original game was going to be just like Super Mario 64, where it took place entirely in a castle, and then Link could maybe go to different realms and stuff by going through portals or painting-like things, similar to A Link to the Past. Link would go through portals to go to the Dark World. I think he even used a mirror to like stay normal, right? When he went.
You got the Moon Pearl to retain your humanoid form, but
and then the mirror
was used to go back to the light world.
Yeah, and then the mirror, or a mirror, was reused in Twilight Princess to go to the Twilight Realm. So anyways, so I feel like in Zelda, whenever they were making Ocarina of Time, they were originally going to do it the same as Mario 64, which is what Nintendo has even said, and then they ended up saying, well, in Mario 64, if we can make this giant elaborate castle and we can make all of these other different worlds that you can go to from the castle, then why can't we just make the world itself and not have the game take place entirely in the castle? Because if you're building worlds outside the castle that you would go to, then I feel that that would have made them think like, well, instead of putting this as like a portal inside the castle, let's just make it its own place over here. So I don't know if I'm describing that correctly, but my head's not working correctly either. So
I got your meaning.
Yeah.
No,
So
I-
anyways, I wish they would have done that with Super Mario 64, to where it wasn't just the castle, it was the Mushroom Kingdom, similar to how Ocarina of Time had Hyrule Kingdom. And then instead of going to these paintings and jumping through and then like going to each place, you would just have like a big open world like Ocarina of Time, and then there would be like Mushroom Kingdom filled or whatever, and then you could go to the different areas from there. Kind of like in a normal Mario game, it has the map of the world, and then each place is sectioned off, and you don't really do anything as you're going through. Like Mario Cross Rabbids, and then like Super Mario 3D World kind of take that to the next level, to where you can kind of run around on the overworld, but it's not an actual overworld. So I would want to see something more like that. So like Super Mario 64, but instead of taking place entirely in the castle, making it like a giant thing. With instead of like jumping through a painting to get to somewhere, you can just walk there. That's how I would have liked it.
Okay. That's kind of one of the things I find charming about the game myself. But
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's what I would have
it's
said.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. Don't be sorry.
We're allowed to have opinions that
Yes.
are different.
True.
It's okay, Jesse.
Oh. So, I figured out my thing. Yoshi.
But the DS. And he's on the castle.
He is... My thought, my brain is 100% with the N64 version.
where I'm at.
Yoshi is only in the game in one spot. Spoilers for anyone who doesn't know this already, for a game that's like 20 years old, more than.
Yeah.
Yoshi is only in one spot in the game. He is only on top of Peach's castle, and all he does is give you 1-ups. And Yoshi
That's
is
a
the
waste of
best
a
part
chem-
of Super Mario World. He's He could have. It could have been so good to have Yoshi usable in that game, and they would later do that with other games like Sunshine. You can ride on Yoshi, Galaxy 2, but not 1. Odyssey kind of glossed over, underutilized Yoshi as well, but that's that's a separate video.
My theory,
But
in Super Mario World, he's constantly like abusing Yoshi.
no,
So
no,
in
don't
Super
listen
Mario-
to what Matt Pat says about that.
So, well, not him, just like the fact that like they confirmed
Yoshi
that
is
he
my
does hit
best
Yoshi
friend.
to do the tongue thing, and then sometimes
No,
people
I
do
deny
the double
this.
jump.
I'm in denial.
So, with
You're in
Super
denial, Daniel.
with Super Mario 64, Yoshi's hiding on top of the castle to be away from Mario, and then when Mario does come, Yoshi bribes him with a mushroom so he doesn't get hurt. So Mario's like a bully, like the video Iliad did for us, the top worst thing Mario's ever done.
Yes. Oh, that was one of my first ones too.
Yeah, you just
It was like my
Abused-
third video.
breaking my heart.
abused the Yosh.
I remember that.
All right.
Except in Super Mario World, there is a level. The only way to get the secret ending for the level, like the secret exit. So the only way to beat that level with the secret is to sacrifice Yoshi. I think it's one of the bridge levels, if I remember correctly. Because you have to basically go under the goalpost and then jump off Yoshi onto the platform. And there's no way to do it without killing Yoshi, without sacrificing him. And that is the most upsetting part of the game for me. Like I'm ready to give up on life when that happens. It's not fair. It's not fair to Yoshi, man.
It's sad.
We have to sacrifice him into a bottomless pit.
Huh? No, not the Yosh.
It's not fair.
Uh,
I love Yoshi.
I do too.
Okay.
It would have been really
Give me
cool
more
to
Yoshi.
play as him. What's
Where's
your
my
next?
Yoshi game for Switch?
What's your next thing, Ilya? Can you see me pointing at you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I can even come up with a second one. Not partly because it's been a while, and I think partly because the other thing I was gonna say is part of why I like it. I was gonna say, well, it can be a little easy, but I'm like, yeah, but if I play it now, like even when I played it a long time ago, I was like 13 or something. It was even a little easy for me then, but that's not necessarily something I want to change about it. It kind of annoys me now, but I respect it. And it's not like, no offense to Kirby, I love Kirby. It's not Kirby easy, but I don't know. That's the only thing I could come up with, but that's one of the things I like about it too. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I know.
I'll make mine quick too and say Super Mario 64, their original plans for the game, they were going to have it multiplayer, and then they changed it, and then they were going to make multiplayer into the sequel, and then they ended up scrapping that. So
Good point. That would have been nice.
the original was supposed to have multiplayer, they canceled it, and then the sequel was supposed to have multiplayer, and they canceled the entire game, and then, but that was because of the disk drive, so they had a reason to. But then they started to work on Super Mario Sunshine, so everyone thought Sunshine would have like a big thing on multiplayer because that's what they wanted to do with 64. And then they ended up putting kind of multiplayer with Super Mario 64 DS. So, like pseudo multiplayer. And
They
you
leave
play
the
as, like,
multiplayer to their spin-off games.
yeah, like Wario and Yoshi, and if you play as Yoshi, is Yoshi still on the castle? Or is it's Mario on the castle, and then when you go to him, he just hits Yoshi on the head,
No.
and then Yoshi loses a life?
Yikes.
I'm sorry. All right,
No,
Daniel,
it's okay.
it's your turn.
This is gonna sound like a nitpicky nitpick because it's hard to come up with things I don't like about this game.
That says good stuff about it.
That's true. That does speak volumes. There should be a separate water holding your breath meter separate from your life, your health gauge.
Ooh.
Because every other video game ever does this, and it leads to the most both satisfying and quirky and weird, but also from a game design and balancing standpoint, bad exploits in which if you're hurt, all you gotta do is jump in the water and then surface. And the game treats the life bar the same as like an oxygen gauge for holding your breath underwater. So it thinks, oh, he's been holding his breath, so now we're gonna refill it because he's surfaced in the water. And so you can just heal yourself that way. And from a design standpoint, that's not good. That doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
that, yes.
Brandon in the chat says it's a redundancy.
Oh. Brandon, do you work in the Department of Redundancy department?
What? I am here, dank moms. I don't understand. Someone says sounds very different
I don't know.
than the original. I've been going deep into the narrative of each Zelda game, and it seems the 3D games draw heavily on the male-female symbolism. Oh, he's not even talking about Mario. We're talking about Mario realms.
Yeah.
Not these guys. They're on their own chat in the chat.
And
What
Mario
are you
64,
talking
it's
about?
really things that could have been better, nothing really that I don't like, says RPG. Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, with games that are a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, there's not really anything that bad about them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be 10 out of 10s. So when you do list off things that are bad about those games, it's usually minor nitpicking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a 10 out of 10.
Yes.
And that's why we do the best and the worst. So we're not just saying, like, oh, this game's really great. How great is it? It's really great.
Because that's obvious.
Yeah.
It's like, well, duh. Yes, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we are ready for the mailbag, and then we're done.
Okay. Yeah, sounds
So
good.
everyone in the chat, get your questions ready, and we will answer them. Daniel, do you want to take the mailbag, the intro?
Oh, sure. Okay. Well. Hello, everybody. I'm Daniel. You may also know me as Capt Bergerson, or
That's me.
some form of Bergerson, depending on what social media you follow me on. I'm joined on the mailbag for the Highland Gamescast episode 50. That's 50.
50.
And I'm joined by my gracious co-host, who's actually the guy who hosts the channel, actually, Game Over Jesse, and
That's her.
Ilya Rose, who is the person that does voiceover stuff for this channel and also helps with this podcast. So, we're going to jump in and answer some questions. Sometimes, though, we get too many questions. And you can always go to Patreon, support us there, and we will guarantee that your questions get answered. I don't think we actually have any Patreon questions this week.
I don't think so.
So you guys are not using this benefit to its fullest. You're not exercising your rights as a patron. Should I go and list our patrons here? We'll give a little shout out.
Sure. And then we'll...
to some of our newer patrons like Jacob, Michael, Elmer, and Bootleg Boy. And some of our longtime patrons like Gus, Justin, That One Pancake, Key of Time 15, Monica, Casey, Link, Use the Triforce, Megan, Lunarium, Robbie, Shadow to Us, Rusty, and Lovable Christy, who is never asked a question.
I know.
So get on that, Christy. But yes, you can also ask us questions in the chat if you're watching this live right now. If you're watching this in the future, time travel exists. It's real. I just did it. I'm talking to you in the future. And but
Confirmed.
you can also leave questions in the comments because we always read those as well. At least I do. So Jesse ignores all of the questions and comments in YouTube. He never looks at. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So let's jump into it. with the questions that we've got here. Jesse, why don't you choose the first question?
Oh, okay. So the first question that I'm going to pick. Space Shaman asks, Twilight Princess style A Link to the Past remake, yay or nay? Would it be a waste of time?
I say nay.
Nay.
Yeah.
Nay.
Twilight Princess is already a Twilight Princess style Ocarina of Time remake.
Yes.
And
in a sense, it's all derivative, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because Ocarina of
forest,
Time...
fire, water.
Yeah. Twilight Princess is very derivative of Ocarina of Time, which in itself is already very derivative of A Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the charm of that game is the way it's styled.
Yeah. I don't think many of the dungeons would translate well to 3D because they are designed with 2D in mind. You'd have to rework a lot, and if you're already reworking everything into 3D,
you get A Link
suddenly
Between
you
Worlds.
get yeah, exactly. So,
which I would actually because I didn't mean to interrupt you, but a lot of people think like just make
exactly
the dungeons 3D instead of 2D, like leave them the same, just put the camera behind your back. But all of the dungeons are designed to be seen, like the entire room to be seen at the exact same time.
Yep.
To whereas in 3D games, you're only meant to see what's directly in front of you in your line of sight. Like there could be a switch behind a wall, but you can't see it because there's a wall in front of you. Whereas if it's top down, then you can see everything. So you know in your head, okay, the puzzle somehow has me like going around this wall to get to this thing. Whereas in the 3D game, you go into the room and you're like, what do I do? There's nothing here.
Yeah.
So then you turn around and you get lost.
And also, there are certain things that I just don't feel would translate well. Like the hook shot in A Link to the Past works differently than the hook shot does in Ocarina of Time, where it essentially is just a straight line across the plane that you're already on. So you couldn't shoot upwards with it. In 3D Zelda games, it is almost used as a way to ascend vertically, whereas in 2D Zelda games, it's used as a way to cross gaps, like large canyons and things like that. And that translation wouldn't work. Pegasus boots wouldn't work in 3D. That would be a mess.
So you get the bunny hood, and then you put the Pegasus boots on.
Oh, no. No. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people... I just gotta say this as a nitpick. A lot of people post up these ideas of, like, they should remake this Zelda game, but in the style of this Zelda game. And the thing that's so great... Like, people say that all the time. I see it frequently everywhere. Discord, Twitter, live chats, YouTube comments. And I just gotta say no. That part of the charm of these Zelda games is that they are made in their style. They are different from each other. And things work well in one game that wouldn't work well and translate into another game. And I feel like I'm just like stepping on everyone's dreams, and I'm sorry, but yeah, that's just how I feel. Like it just they're charming because of their styles are so different. Also, someone in the chat donated. The Bricks Hub says, since A Link Between Zelda is in Smash, doesn't have a Hilda skin, could she be an Echo Fighter?
I would say so.
That's our next question, I guess.
The same. So yeah, we'll answer that directly next.
Well, I'm done answering.
But the Twilight Princess, A Link to the Past remake, if they... So, A Link Between Worlds began as the A Link to the Past remake. And then once they came up with the new idea of going into the wall, they reworked the dungeons to use that feature. So, like, the world itself wouldn't need much changing. But if they revamped the dungeons a third time, then I could take... Would it be a fourth time? Does the ancient stone tablets count?
I guess there is, yeah. So, I mean, I guess it would be a time. But
Yeah.
That's the thing is once you start making changes and tweaks and stuff, it just becomes a new game. That's what it ends up being.
Yep.
Because like that's what happened with, was it the Oracle games? Originally began as a Zelda 1 remake. One of them did. And then they start making changes and suddenly they're like, you know what, it's a new game. Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with the most extreme version of that is like all of the callbacks to the original Zelda from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, it'd be cool if we had all these references and there was the mountains way over here and then there's the hill here, and then they're like, okay, well, let's give a reason for a hill being here, like in the artwork. And they're like, oh, what if you just start here? And they're like, okay, well, how do you start there? You wake up from 1,000 years sleep. And they're like, or 100 years sleep. And they're just like, okay, then how do you know where to go? Let's put the old man here. That way he can tell you. And then, like, it ends up becoming its own thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's just like, now you have all this advanced technology and giant things. Because originally it wasn't even going to have a big focus on Guardians, and now it's the only focus. Like, the Guardians were originally just going to be an enemy, like the Lionels.
Yes.
But because everyone loved the first trailer they showed off, and they put so much, I think that's our fault. Because people,
fans? Yeah. Oh,
like,
it's totally.
Because people like myself and HMK and the other Chamber of Sages made all these videos on what we thought the Guardian was, and all the videos got like hundreds of thousands of views, and I think Nintendo seen that and was like, oh, people really like this. And it's like, no, we didn't necessarily love it, it's just the only thing you showed us, so we looked at it for 10 months.
That's true, but I do love it.
Yeah.
I like the Guardians as an enemy. That is one way to like ramp up the tension. Like,
oh, it scares the bejeebies out of me every time.
Yeah, like the Guardians are really well done in that game. Sure, once you get kind of OP pretty quickly in the game, they don't become too challenging, but like the
you
early
just chase them down on your horse.
Yeah. So satisfying to like just be like on horseback and you just like whack it as you're going by and it just like
it
flips out of control.
It's so great. But I mean, that's one of the greatest jump scares is you're like, okay, I'm gonna go explore. I was in Hateno Village, but I'm gonna go explore, and then you hear the piano music and you're like, wait, what? Where am I? No.
that red beam like aimed right at you and you're just like it's like
those pictures of Link with a bunch of red lasers on him. Oh no.
Oh, no. Yeah.
This isn't good.
All
No.
right, so are we ready for the second question?
Yes.
Did you give your thoughts on the Twilight Princess, A Link Between Worlds thing, Ilya?
Very heavily.
Yeah, I said nope because the charm comes from the way it's made, as it is.
Yes.
Well,
we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And I love it.
All right.
So yes, Hilda in Smash as an Echo Fighter.
From the Bricks Hub.
Who donated, so therefore he got his question answered right now.
5 British dollars.
Pounds?
£5, great British pounds.
Yeah, I think Hilda, like, I think they probably, like, okay, so the Link Between Worlds, A Link to the Past, Zelda, hasn't been used in Smash Brothers. So I understand them wanting to give her a new look to make the game feel fresh. And with a huge focus on the Echo Fighters, it just makes perfect sense. Like, you literally just make her purple instead of pink, I guess.
Yeah.
Like a darker purple. Like, if they're going to put Samus and Dark Samus, this is a closer fit than Samus and Dark Samus, I think.
And I was thinking, like, her moveset could really be very similar to Zelda's, and that would be okay, like, as an Echo Fighter.
Yeah.
But I want to see them change her final Smash to basically unleash Yiga Ganon on the foe as a final Smash.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Cool. Like, a portal just opens up and he just rises.
rises up. And, yeah, see, we're on the same train of thought here.
Using the upside down Triforce, possibly. Things like that.
Oh yeah, like if it came out of her staff and then it opened the portal and then I don't know if that's what you were thinking about, Ilya, but I'm Do it, Nintendo.
It would be cool
Hold
if she
on.
had her staff as well.
Yeah.
Call-
Like just have the same
Miyamoto.
moveset, but maybe a little weaker, but a bit more slightly longer reach because she has her staff as well. That's great. I love that system.
Don't
That's
be
the
rude,
new.
Daniel. I'm calling Miyamoto.
Hey, Shiggy.
I opened
Like
up
good
my
friend
Sims
Shigeru?
2 the other day, and I have a family named Miyamoto, apparently.
But why?
I don't know. It was a couple years ago, so I don't know. What
Also,
happened.
why would you call Miyamoto? We should call Sakurai.
Well, Miyamoto's like the guy that gets things done at Nintendo, I feel.
Sakurai, just let him take
Sakurai
a nap,
gets it done.
please.
Yeah, to where
It's done.
But
Sakurai.
let him take a nap.
Yeah, I feel
Somewhat.
Sakurai's already really busy. So if any, like, if I
Busy
called,
getting stuff done.
yeah, if I called him and asked him, he was like, we already have this many characters in there. But then if Miyamoto was like, hey, I'm Miyamoto, you have to listen to me.
That's the thing too, is that I feel like when other developers ask, he like the whole reason Snake was in there was Kojima was like, "Can you put him in Smash?" He's like, "Yeah, okay." Not Melee because it's too close to release date, but we'll put him in the next one. And yeah, so Sakurai listens. Hashtag
But the dude
bless.
needs a break. Sometimes I
needs a
look at
break.
him and I'm like, you need to go sleep for a year.
Yeah.
Go to
The
sleep.
thing is, he hasn't aged in like 20 years. He looks the same, but more tired.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Just he looks like he hasn't aged, but he also hasn't slept. So.
It's impressive. Which,
uh,
random side note, my grandfather, because yesterday was his 82nd birthday, he was like, I looked it up. I've been sleeping for 27 years. He's had 27 years of sleep. But he also takes 2-hour naps every day, so even more.
that seems
Just
like
an
almost
interesting
less
thought. If you're
than-
82, you've slept for 27 years of your life.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense actually, because it's like 8 hours. If you average on like 8 hours a night, that's about a third of the day.
So we've
So a third
slept
of your
for
life.
like
So a third
3
of
or
your
4
life.
years altogether.
Maybe.
Me?
I don't know.
Like us,
Really?
yeah.
Us?
Oh, us, it would be a lot less.
No,
I've
I
used
said
slept
3
like a
or
third of
4
it.
years.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
only.
Yeah,
What am
I don't
I?
know.
Because
I'm 23.
when you're a baby, you sleep like half of the year there.
That's true.
That's true.
So-
Jinx.
And then once you have a child, once you have your own baby, then you stop sleeping. So,
That's true.
You
I was
just
living off like
stop.
2 or 3 hours.
My mom's
of
joke.
Sleep at
My
one
mom's
point.
joke was always, if I got sleep, I get very concerned.
No, I did too. So there was the thing to where like, if there was 30 minutes without me hearing something, I'd be like, "Is she okay? Do I need to go check on her?"
yeah, are they still breathing? So
Or the other joke I've heard, the difference between like maybe like a elementary school aged boys and girls, if you're going with the stereotype. If you're just going with the stereotype, if you hear nothing from the girls, okay, whatever they're playing. If you hear nothing from the boys, oh no. Speaking as someone
Something's
with two
gone
older
amiss.
brothers.
Yeah. So Ilya, you pick your question now.
yes,
Okay.
choose.
Found one earlier and I now have to find it again. Oh, I think that's what I was gonna do, was the yay or nay one. Haha.
Aha.
Should I mention the one that you put in the Discord chat, Daniel?
If you fancy it.
I thought it was interesting. So I'll read it. So this dude, Sparrow's Nest, sent a theory idea to Daniel, and we read it earlier. It's a cool idea. We'll discuss it. We'll put it as a question. So he asks or says, "Hey, I just did some research trying to figure out who the Ordanya light spirit in Twilight Princess is. And I came up with an interesting theory. We have never heard of this name previously in the series, and he was trying to figure out, sorry, I'm having trouble reading it. Well, to figure this out, I looked into the names of the other spirits, which are named respectively to the providences they protect. And this is the same for Ordanya, who guards Ordon Village. But this province only exists in Twilight Princess, so that doesn't help. But the names also refer to the golden goddesses, Din, Nehru, 4. But that's only 3, not 4. But we know that there's the goddess Hylia, who was put on the earth to keep order, which is why her reincarnations are born to the royal family to keep order in Hyrule. She's also been known as the goddess of time, possibly, which time itself follows a certain order. Why do I keep bringing up this phrase order? Because the Romanian, French, and Spanish definition for the name Ordania means order. This fits very well with the rule of the goddess Hylia, and not to mention the spirit Ordania is the first light spirit that you meet. So, could the light spirit Ordania be a representation of Hylia? I do want to look into this more, but I think it's very plausible based on what I've read.
Yeah, like maybe not like a manifestation of Hylia.
No.
But in the same way that Eldin is connected to Din, and Faron to Feror, etc. There could be a connection there. I think Nehru was like the goddess who put order into the world, though, right? Like when they're in the sort of creation story of Hyrule.
Yeah.
Din created the
Yes,
land
like
and the
law.
Nehru created order and the laws of nature and things like that.
Yeah.
And
One of them
then-
created all life.
And that was Feror created life that would uphold
Din
this
created
order.
land.
For the record, I'm looking to see what this says about.
The encyclopedia.
Ordania.
You know what? I should have checked that as well.
I didn't even think about that.
But you're already on it, so I'm not gonna go and grab
Well, it was behind me. So
Well,
also,
mine's behind me too, but I can't
did
reach
this
it.
guy give anyone nightmares?
Yes, every day,
The Uku.
Yeah.
always.
The Uku theme is my title theme from YouTube video.
Yes, for your
And they
channel.
just hide out in the pots.
Yeah, they're
Even when you find the Uku or Uka in that game, Link has a very appropriate reaction. Like when you find it, he's just like,
He's like, this isn't rupees.
Ooh,
I was looking for
Supply.
rupees.
guys. They have a screenshot in this from a glitched game.
What?
Yeah, so the Gerudo Fortress on the side, like the top side corner, I don't know if you can tell, but it has a bunch of tiny little black bars going through it. Like the game was glitching or something when they took the screenshot.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oopsie daisy.
It's
Well.
crazy.
That is crazy.
I'm looking for the Ordonia.
Yes. Ordana. Now, my thought is, and I mentioned this back to Sparrow's Nest when I messaged him, or when he messaged me this. Ordana is also the spirit that gives Link the hero's tunic, and tells him, "Hey, man, Destiny's a callin'. Better pick up the phone." So, much in the same way that B5 Fum and Skyward Sword communicates this similar message to Link that it's time to go take up your destiny and get stuff done. So, and Phi being sort of an agent of Hylia or creation of Hylia, it makes sense that if Ordana was connected to Hylia, that they would have a similar sort of function in place.
And I also was thinking about Majora's Mask. I mean, obviously, this is right after the events of Ocarina of Time, and he goes back to being a child, and he has that memory of Zelda, who's already the incarnation of the goddess Hylia, saying the goddess of time will be with you. So obviously, is the word transcendental? I'm not sure, but it's like there can be multiple.
Yeah, I mean, the
facets.
Hylia in Skyward Sword has said like she can transcend time itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she sends the message to Link from the edge of
From
time.
the edge of time.
So,
Right. But I do agree with what you said. It's not necessarily that Ordania is a manifestation of Hylia as much as like there's a connection there.
Yeah, like an agent of Hylia, in the same way that Eldin and Lanayru and Faron would be sort of connected to or an agent of the other goddesses. Because I think their backstory, those light spirits. They were tasked with protecting those provinces by the goddesses. So it could just be that maybe there's more light spirits than even those 4, and in the lands outside of Hyrule, there's light spirits there too. That's always possible. And there's just tons of them. Who knows? Like, because those provinces are pretty small, right?
Yeah.
So there could just be tons and tons of light spirits that we just haven't seen as well. And they're just these kind of low-tier deity spirits. So
this doesn't mention it, but there was something that I read saying that Ordon Village wasn't a part of Hyrule. Like, it was a province located outside of Hyrule, and then it became Hyrule or something, because they mentioned that you have to go to Hyrule to take the sword, and Link's never been to Hyrule or something. I don't know. What am I trying to think of?
You've never been to the castle town.
In Breath of the Wild, no, but okay. In Twilight Princess, Russell specifically says you've never been to Hyrule, have you?
Oh, I guess he does.
That exact phrasing. So maybe Hyrule is just what they call the town, but I don't think so. My interpretation was always that it was no. There's another thing too. When you are sneaking back into Hyrule Castle as Wolf Link, before you get the Master Sword, but after you beat the Lakebed Temple, and Midna's been cursed by Xant, and you're trying to sneak back into Hyrule Castle, you can eavesdrop on a conversation in Telma's bar where they talk about Link, and Ashi and Shad, thank goodness I remember these NPCs' names, are saying that, they're talking about, I heard about this guy who's been getting a lot of good work done in Hyrule. There's this activist philanthropy guy going around named Link. And Ashi remarks, and here I thought that there were no good men left in Hyrule. And then Shad, who's standing right there when she says that, kind of mean, he says, well, actually, he's not from Hyrule at all. He's from Ordon. So.
Smart Alec. But yes.
You remember
also,
this?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
So Ordon is politically, as far as political boundaries go, outside of Hyrule in Twilight Princess.
Ooh, this is interesting.
I guess I could see that partly because I guess if we're going with the Link and Malon theory, and then maybe they set up in Kokiri Forest, I don't know. I know I've heard that before, that they went to Kokiri Forest, and if you're thinking with that concept, I don't know if anyone really considered the Kokiri part of Hyrule. They were kind of like those ancient
no one can
little
really
creatures.
Go there.
Right.
Right. So
that would make sense.
Yeah, it would.
So
it seems like it's the same. You're coming out of the south side of into Hyrule Field. It seems like the same area.
The forest temple is located inside of a giant dead tree.
Yeah, that has the Kokiri symbol
all over
painted all over it.
Everywhere.
So, this is interesting. The name for Ordona makes it relate to Hylia a little bit more. Because it says, this is on Zelda Wikia, it says, it's possible that Ordona is the leader of the light spirits. Ordona's name has parts from the 3 golden goddesses. This is because Or and Ordona could be derived from Faror, the Dawn could be derived from Din, and the Na could be derived from Nehru. As the other 3 light spirits represent a goddess, it would make more sense that Ordona represents all 3 goddesses, if it is in fact the leader of the light spirits. And Hylia was also created by all 3 goddesses. All of the light spirits were created by the 3 goddesses anyways, to like seal away the, what were they called in this game?
What?
The interlopers?
The interlopers.
Oh, the interlopers.
Yeah.
So the light spirits sealed away the interlopers.
Yes.
And they locked their power inside the fused shadows. Scary stuff.
It is. But it's I feel like the more at first I was like, that's kind of a neat theory, but the more looking into it, the more I feel like like there's more to Ordana. You know, it's really neat. But also, just as a side note, talking about the big dead tree in the Forest Temple in Twilight Princess, and that whole area being outside Hyrule, is the Kokiri are nowhere to be found, but that could be because they're Koroks, and they're hiding, because in Breath of the Wild, the first time you meet a Korok, the Korok will say, "Oh, I didn't know that your kind could see me."
It's racist.
So, implying that Hylians can't visibly see Koroks normally, but Link can because he is like the chosen hero or whatever, which is why you could see them in Wind Waker as well, and because he carries the same hero spirit. And another thought as well, which is connected to this, Ordana could be, as the leader of the Light Spirits, specifically tasked with making sure Link fulfills his destiny. Because if Link, Hero of Time Link, had sort of started a village outside of Hyrule to kind of get away from all that, maybe.
You guys want to see something sexy?
Okay.
Click the link, scroll down to the bottom of the beta screenshot of Faron Woods leading to Ordon Village.
Okay. Ooh,
I'm
I
very
get excited
worried.
about beta stuff.
Oh god, it's so sexy.
Oh, I've seen this. I've seen this.
Yeah.
So here's the funny thing is that it seems like with Ocarina of Time, you look at beta screenshots of the Lost Woods, it's very similar to this, right? And then they scrapped it and made the Lost Woods the way that they ended up being in the game.
What am I
And then
looking
this,
for?
or
At the
Faron
very
Woods,
bottom. The
very
Twilight
bottom.
Princess beta.
This is Faron Woods from E3 2004 trailer. I was about to say
Yeah.
2014.
And it
Same
shows
thing with
the animals
Faron Woods
walking
here,
behind.
where it's just a sort of open forest with trees and stuff, and that was what they had in mind.
Yeah, it
And
looks
they were
more like Breath of
finally
the
able
Wild.
to do that in Breath of the Wild. Yeah. And
Because even in
Good.
Skyward Sword,
Oh,
it
I
was.
see it.
It wasn't even like that in Skyward Sword.
no,
That is pretty.
Yeah.
this looks so good.
Yeah, like it would have just been basically a smaller section like Hyrule filled, but with like a bunch of trees everywhere. There is one part in Ocarina of Time's Hyrule field, like towards the southern area where there are a bunch of trees.
Yeah, but they're not very densely
Yeah.
together like that, and they're pretty skinny trees.
They could have put an area there. Made it cool.
They could have, but they didn't.
Never released Ura.
No. But yeah, it's yeah, I feel like we've talked a lot about this.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next thing. It's cool
Yeah.
though. And I know Sparrow's Nest was very excited for me to look into this, so I hope that he actually watches this episode. This one's for you, man. So
Yeah.
yes.
All right, let's do a speed round really quick. Because we got
Okay.
so many questions, let's try to get through.
Some simple questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get through like 3 more, but just do like it really quickly. So 1 for each of us. That way we each get 2 questions total.
Mhm.
So
Sounds good. Whose turn to choose?
I'll choose from
All right.
the Hylian. I read it as the Hylian Today, which reminds me of like a newspaper.
Sounds like a newspaper. Yeah.
I've done that before.
What if Ganon is the protagonist and Link is the antagonist? Well, for this, I say, with Ocarina of Time, if Link would have just stayed in bed, nothing would have really changed.
That's true. Ganondorf wouldn't have gotten the Triforce, have been able to time,
Mm-hmm.
because he had already tried all these things and failed. He'd already tried to get this, and he
Yeah.
didn't. He failed.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the Gorons would have bombed the thing open anyways, eventually.
Yeah. We've seen in like Twilight Princess as well that they can punch through stone like rock walls like that.
Yeah. And
So-
then they even have the giant Goron on top of the mountain that could have just like picked
You could have just like pulled it off like.
It's like,
oh.
yeah, just I'll move that.
yeah. And
Yeah, they
then
weren't really having that much of a crisis.
the Zoras were already looking for the message at Lake Hylia where you find the bottle, so they would have found
That's
it
true.
eventually. The Deku tree was going to die anyways.
Mm.
Although it would have been really bad for them if Queen Goma would have came out of the Deku Tree and just terrorized the the whole forest.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. Anyways.
But Queen Goma was at the bottom of the inside of the Deku Tree in a locked room.
Yeah. In the
So
manga,
I don't think she would have got out.
I like the manga version, although not canon. I like it better because when Link goes to the Deku Tree, I don't think Link ever actually goes inside. The spider's crawling around the outside of the Deku Tree, and she actually talks to Link, like threatening him.
Ooh.
That's
then
really creepy.
Yeah, and then they fight. So
It's like Aragog from Harry Potter. I don't want it to talk.
yeah.
But
in the-
Aragog's just misunderstood.
In the
He
Ocarina
tries
of
to
Time.
eat Harry Potter and Ron.
Yeah. Sorry, Jesse.
No, it's I like Harry Potter. Anyways, I've thought about so many times of doing. So my perfect thing would be like if they did a Harry Potter TV series, and then like made each season based off of each year at the school.
They should do it like a proper series because the movies, it's too much to condense down.
Yeah.
Like the movies are good. They did a good job,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more I'd love to see fleshed out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was actually talking about this the other day with someone that like in the movie it's all like every scene, because it is Harry Potter's kind of based, like, you know, it kind of follows Harry, and then sometimes you'll get a scene with someone else. So in the book they could have, or not the book, but a TV show, if they have like 15 or 20 episodes, they could have one episode to where it's just following Hermione around the entire episode, and then like you can see her like bump into Harry and have some scenes with Harry, but it's mostly her like how she like goes back in time a little bit so she can like go to each of her classes.
Or even have each
Yeah.
episode be a chapter from the book.
And
I
then,
kind of
like,
wish they had done that with Hunger Games, but I would want it to be shown in theaters because it gives a stronger impact.
yeah.
Yes.
But going back to the protagonist-antagonist question,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
got off
I would
topic.
I
Harry Potter
would
guys.
argue that based on the theater definition of a protagonist, neither of them can be. Depending on the game. The theater definition of a protagonist is someone who change. The main character who goes through a change, which is typically Zelda.
Well, in
but-
the game, like Link is meant to be like representative of the hero's journey, as it were. So his sort
Yeah.
of beat moment, his change, would be like him growing. Typically, that moment would be when he gets the Master Sword, but that's not always the case in every.
I guess
Zelda
because
game.
you don't really get to see so much of
That's
him.
the thing.
You are him,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Well, I guess we're the
it's harder to
protagonist.
convey that when Link is kind of such a flat character. So yeah.
I was gonna say Wind Waker Ganon, and then I was like, well, he's already gone through his change. He's gone
but-
through a lot.
If you really want a Ganondorf as the protagonist story, Hyrule Warriors has a great like section of the game where essentially that's it. Ganondorf is the protagonist. You play as him, kick butt. It's a lot of fun to see sort of the evil side of things unfold that way. And he pretty much just gathers an army by beating them into submission,
He's like
like
Thanos.
single-handedly. That's a lot of fun. So.
Cool.
All right,
Yes, cool
Ilya, pick your
beans.
question. Daniel can
Ah.
get the very last. He'll end
Okay.
it.
Oh,
May the
okay.
Triforce guide you.
I think
Asks,
that's Gid actually.
guide you? Oh, I didn't even notice there wasn't any.
Oh, does
May
he
the
have it
Triforce
misspelled?
Yeah.
guide
Guid.
you. They ask, what is your favorite non-Nintendo game? Banjo-Kazooie. It was released on the N64, but it's rare. Now Microsoft. So that's my answer. Banjo-Kazooie.
Shovel Knight. I love Shovel Knight. It's so good. So good. Jesse, what is your favorite non-Nintendo
I
game?
may have to default to Final Fantasy.
Good answer.
Hmm?
Also good.
Final Fantasy is
Yes.
really cool.
Do you want to throw a runner-up as well? Wait,
Um,
which Final Fantasy? Like 15?
10.
10? Ooh, got it on the second guess. I just know Jesse too well.
I'm in your head now.
That's creepy.
We put the the plot twist for that game in the
top
10 video we did.
That was a good video.
Oh, yeah.
I had too much fun editing that because every time you said twist, I rotated the screen. And that was just editing fun. Yeah, that was a good video.
Daniel,
You guys
final
should watch
question.
Watching this, after this is done, you should watch that. Okay,
Give us
so,
some Harry Potter questions for next week.
Yeah, we'd love to talk about Harry
Yes.
Potter. I have to bring my wife on because she is like, that's like her huge fandom. I'm more like a casual fan. Like I really like it, but she's like the hardcore. So like the way that I am with Zelda lore, that's her with Harry Potter. And just like I'll say something, she's like, actually.
Okay, so
so
if we have Friends with Friends as our
Friends with-
sitcom podcast, what is our Harry Potter podcast name?
ooh.
Mischief Managed.
Oh, there you go.
I just came up with it randomly, and then I was like,
The
wait a minute.
Marauders cast. I don't know.
The Marauders.
The Marauders cast. No, I like yours better. Mischief Man. I don't know. You could do a lot with. There's a
Because
lot.
I solemnly swear I'm up to no good is a little long.
But it's too long.
Mischief
Yes.
Unmanaged.
Ooh. Ooh. So I should choose a question. That we haven't actually done ever. There's sometimes guys, we get questions and we've already answered previous episodes because people are like-minded and already asked the same question, and that's okay. But
Uh-oh, people in the
I
chat are
want
saying
variety.
yes to Harry Potter.
Podcast. Harry Podcast. Yay! Thanks, Retro.
Maybe I'll start that on my channel.
Voldemort versus
Harry
Sauron.
Podcast.
Yes. Final Fantasy
The
X
Harry
all the way.
podcast. That would be fun. One of my first videos that I edited, or that I recorded in this room, is Harry Potter. So, it's about Snape. But that's not going to come out till like next year.
Okay. I think I already know the answer for this, but the question is, what do you think about Breath of the Wild's post-apocalyptic overworld, and would you want the next Zelda game to be more alive and more towns and stuff, but keep the huge overworld kind of thing that Breath of the Wild did? So I think all of our answers probably yes. We want more towns and stuff.
Yes.
Yes, but I will. The Breath of the Wild's post-apocalyptic sort of theme is really well done.
Yes.
Like it's super well implemented. And I was playing last night, and I was going around Central Hyrule, and there's just all these small village ruins and stuff, and it really fleshes out the story well, just the way the world is designed. And I think they did a really good job implementing that. But
Yes.
you see, there's the memories that show like early trailers and stuff that show, and you just, I want to see that. I want to be there. I want to look into. I want to go into Castletown, and
I want to pet dogs.
I want to pet the dogs. Nintendo.
Twilight Princess, you pick them up.
Yes. Yeah.
Pick up the cats
No,
anyway.
okay, yeah. So like you pick up the dogs in Ocarina.
Oh yeah. The little
Right?
schnauzer looking things.
Oh yeah, but not in the same
But
way.
they
Like,
keep moving
in
their
Twilight
legs
Princess,
while
you
they're
pick
on
them
there.
up, and he's like, precious baby dog.
Yeah.
So
So
like,
like
that. And in Ocarina of Time, Link goes,
And the dog's feet are still moving on his.
yeah.
and the dog's trying to scramble away.
So
It's like when you put a dog above water and they just start.
you know in Skyward Sword how you can throw the one things? The little
Yeah.
gremlin things?
The weird
What?
cat gremlin.
Yeah. So in the same way that you can throw them, you should be able to pick up Wolflink and like throw him at an enemy. So he just like attacks the enemy.
Gets his claws out.
He's too big.
Well, like in
Lift him.
okay, like in Twilight Princess, he can like jump on people and like start biting them and stuff to do
Yeah, it's
damage.
scary.
But he doesn't do that in Breath of the Wild. And it would be awesome to see him like jump on the back of a Lionel or like jump on a giant bokoblin and just like start biting them. And then the the Bokoblin's just running around with his arms flailing like he doesn't know what to do.
They do that anyway.
Yeah, but it would be funnier seeing like a dog on his back, just like chomping down.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
But
sorry.
thinking about the question, my answer is very similar. Obviously, I do want to see a big Hyrule because I don't want them to use the same idea twice. They use the same engine twice a couple times, and that's fine.
Yes.
But
Especially because they spent like
very
years developing that engine too. Don't waste it, please, Nintendo.
Right, don't waste the
Yeah.
engine. But even like Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, it's like that's apples and oranges. They're very, very different.
Yeah.
But very good. I will say for the apocalyptic theme, even though it's like, yeah, I really want, and this is being someone who just, music just finds its way to my soul. I don't understand what it is. And although I wanted the big music, I cannot deny how good the music was for, you know, fitting with the theme. I'm not even kidding. The one of the first trailers, I guess or one of the calmer trailers is the first one.
Yeah.
Where it just has those random little sounds. Not even joking. If I'm in a certain mood, I will cry listening to that. Like just a silent tears. Like this is.
So here's a fun bit for you about why I love Breath of the Wild's sound design so much. Is playing on the TV and like docked mode is great and all. Playing the game with really good headphones, even better.
Yes.
But one time, I was over at my mom's house. It's gonna sound super lame. I was over at my mom's, basically cat sitting. Okay, so she was like on vacation, and I brought my Switch over and popped it into the dock, or I brought the dock over as well, and popped it into her TV there. She's got a huge TV, and amazing surround sound. And that was like the most immersive play session of Breath of the Wild ever. I heard a bird chirp behind me and thought I thought a bird got in the house, and it was in the game. Like it was just incredible. So I would say if there's like any definitive way to play the game, it's with a really good surround sound system, lights off, and just it's so, the sound design in that game is so good. But under normal circumstances, you don't get to take full advantage of that, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
Even good headphones are good for it, but that surround sound, like, it was too perfect. It's indescribable. So even though people get kind of upset about the music, that game is beautiful sounding without the epic music themes that previous Zelda games have had.
And we
That's my
did
bad,
have the
sorry.
Calamity Ganon track, which the first time I went in there, I was just like, oh.
Yes.
Oh, and the crazy
so
piano
good.
sound.
And it's like,
Oh,
and you're
Yeah. There
Oh,
was
it's so
also,
good.
I remember the interview before Breath of the Wild came out when they said that the Switch version of Breath of the Wild had a huge focus on the sound design to where when you're walking, it's not just a track of the steps playing, like Link's foot coming in contact with something is what triggers the sound to be made, and it's the same with all of the animals, to where like in Ocarina of Time, whenever, or like Twilight Princess or any of the other games, whenever something's walking, it'll just cue up the walking sound, but in Breath of the Wild, it's like the foot actually coming in contact with the ground, or the bird actually flapping its wings to make the sound. It's not just noise playing, which is really cool.
yeah. They're Nintendo's people. We've said it before, and I know we're bashing it in the head, but they are too good at what they do.
We don't deserve
like-
them.
Yes, we don't
It's like
deserve
Koji
their
Kondo
wholesome
is
and
like,
good.
I make music for video games. Yeah, he does, and he takes it very seriously, and I'm very glad he does.
Mhm. And you know what is great? There was an interview where Koji Kondo said he will sit in a room, headphones, and listen to the music he writes, like for an hour on repeat, just to make sure that song won't get annoying.
Oh yeah, I remember
That's really
And-
smart.
doing that.
I'm like, damn, yeah, that's good, because if you're playing that game, you're gonna hear that song for hours.
Yeah. Retro in the
Dedication.
chat agrees with you, Ilya, saying I like how they save the bombastic music for the important moments. You were talking
Yes.
about Ganon's
Mhm.
castle. But I
Yes.
think
Who knew a simple piano trill can trigger so much anxiety.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh gosh, no, Guardian.
Although, Koji Kondo did not do the music for Breath of the Wild, but
No, but he
they
entrusted
did
it to good
so
people.
well without him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was still in very good hands. So
And like
Yeah.
most of the music used stuff that he had already made. It just like remixes some of the songs.
that's true.
Like
That's
the-
true.
Like,
the
like
really
Twilight Princess does that too, but I
Yeah.
really like it.
You just hear the really slow Temple of Time song,
Yes.
some other stuff.
So
Kakariko
beautiful.
Village, Epona. But I think that's the very end of the almost 3 hour podcast.
Yes.
So
Well done.
we answered
50th episode.
6 questions.
we answered 6 questions in an hour. It's a new record.
Woohoo!
It's like one day we'll do a 2 hour podcast and be like, did we answer your one question?
Yeah.
So, Daniel, where can people find you?
Yes, please.
2
find
blocks
me.
away from the retro store.
Well, it's a little longer than 2 blocks, but you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at CaptBurgerson, CAPT, burger like the food, SON, like your child. And that's where I actually suddenly got active on Twitter like a couple months ago. I had a very dead Twitter account, but if you really want to see Jesse's tweets retweeted, make sure to follow me on Twitter. And I also have a website called Burgerson Media, which is celebrating its anniversary this week, actually. I've had my website for 1 year now, so that's exciting as well. Burgerson Media, or Burgers on Media, if you so choose to pronounce it that way, where I post lots of things that I work on, including intros that I've made for people. So if you want to hire me to do things for you as well. Yes. Oh, I should
He
post
made
that
my
on there
intro.
too, actually. I should do that. And yeah, that's me. Those are the important places. Who's next?
Ilya.
Ilya.
Me.
No, I'm Ilya.
Me. No,
The other
I'm
Ilya.
Ilya. So, you can find me on YouTube. Just look up Ilya Rose. I make videos every other Wednesday. So, not this Wednesday, but the next Wednesday, I think. New videos, mainly Zelda, but also Harry Potter, Disney, and I have stuff in the works concerning Marvel. Very random, weird stuff, but it's fun. I'm on Instagram at IlyaRose_ Geek Apprentice. Twitter, sometimes I'm on there, sometimes I'm not. At Rose_Ilya. And I'm also now recently on Casting Club at Ilya Rose for voice acting. And I just got a gig. So be looking at people who do Zelda things for information. I won't be mentioned. I'm too small of a role. But no, you can be sure that if you follow me, you'll hear about it. So yeah, that's me. That's it. And and
that's all
obviously
three
I
of us.
do
That's everyone.
I do voiceovers for Jesse. Obviously, you hear my voice on
Woohoo.
here a lot.
But who is this Jesse person?
I don't know. He's
No
an
one
enigma.
knows. No one knows. It's a mystery.
It's not like we're wearing shirts with his name or anything.
No, goodness me. Everyone should buy one of these shirts. So
And the one with our cartoon faces.
hmm
I love that one.
When I get money, I'll buy it.
Same.
So I guess, yeah, that's everything. Of course, everything is Game Over Jesse. The YouTube, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitch, the everything. Everything. Even if you have Ilya Rose is a geek. Yes, the Geek
no,
Apprentice.
she's still learning to be a geek.
Yeah.
I
Geek
consider myself an apprentice. So I'm the Geek Apprentice.
Oh, and she's not here to do it herself, but if you play RuneScape, send Kayla a message
Chuma.
Yes. At Chublima
on the Twitters.
on the Twitter.
Alright, with that, everyone, thank you for watching. Gibbs, thank you for the $5. The bricks guy, the bricks person.
Yes.
£5.
I'll find it.
Bricks Hub. The Bricks
Bricks
Hub.
Hub.
Yes. thank you for your Zelda question or your Smash Brothers question and your donation. Hey, she's in the chat. She was stalking us the whole time.
Tuned in for the end. You tuned in just for the end. Oh yes, but thanks for everyone in the chat for watching and being cool people as well.
Capital letters. Add me on RuneScape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they would if you stopped yelling, Jublima.
But I gotta say, right now, the biggest thank you we have to give is to Jesse
What?
for
No.
bringing us all together.
So
And one day I was like, what do you think about doing a podcast? And he was like, let's do it. And then I was like, uh-oh. And here we are, 50 episodes later. I've been having the time of my life. So,
and then one day Gibbs was like, hey, you should bring Kayla on.
yes.
And then one day we kept having Ilya on, so we just
Kept
Because
her.
I just submitted my voice and said, I know how to talk,
yeah.
and I can talk for you.
And we
Submission.
had Sexy Mac, who I've never seen a picture of before. So
Me either.
Nope.
oh my, everyone
He's a
in the
mysterious
chat.
disembodied voice.
Everyone in the chat right now are mods, so like all the names are blue.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Our mods who keep our Discord happy
I've
and
done
our
my
streams
chaos now.
happy.
Yeah, I think that's everything, right? There was someone before the mods took over. Brandon, in the middle of all the mods, says, "Thank you guys very much. I loved your videos, or I love your vids. It was a pleasure to sit there with you. Sit here with you." So yeah, sorry we took up 3 hours of your time. Real M Realms Mad says, "I subbed to you, Ilya."
Woohoo!
Yay. Thank you.
And yeah, I guess that's everything. So, bye everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Give us Harry Potter questions.
Yes.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Give us friends and 90 sitcom questions.